all of FE, well, not all of FE, but so many people who did the FE thing, especially, I won't name anybody, but it's like just throw it out the window. You can't, we're going to use the sky to measure the floor. Just going back to that again. It's like, for me, it doesn't matter if there's a 24-hour sun up there or not. Like, yeah, I came up with a model for a 24-hour sun, but again, it doesn't, whether there is one or there isn't one, it doesn't change the floor. So that's how I
Yeah,
feel
but
about it.
here's the why I'm into it a lot is because I did a lot of debate. Like I've done 5 appearances on modern day debates, dude. I started off at over in Brandon's a long time ago, which a lot of people in this room are familiar with, including Gio and Jeremy, and a lot of I be a little short list. I mean, a little short long list. But anyway, and then at Jose's, a little bit of Jim Panda's, very little bit on Nathan's, but and then on Jeranism, debatism, like so if your thing is debate, you almost gotta follow what the current what's up, A, to stay honest, and B, to try and do your best to nip their freaking their snob freaking questions in the bud, like they, in other words, if I come up with a decent model to explain these questions, they act like are gotchas, and then so be it. I'm gonna do that. Same reason I did a little model for MC Tune's Celestial Navigation, even though I didn't win, he didn't pay me. I at least was able to throw the numbers in his face that was within his specs, and just like because just for debating, I got tired of hearing him say, "No flat earther can do this, that." I'm like, really, dude? Are you serious? Knowing he wasn't gonna pay me because I'm using refraction, and that was automatically disqualified. I mean, then he said I used the globe radius, blah blah blah. Point is, if you're into debates like I am, it's almost inevitable to just wind up on a model. You know what I'm saying? But I feel you. I respect your point of view and respect your angle of attack.
Oh shoot, Brian. I mean, like I was saying, I got a model, man, and I put it together. And truth be told, I like my model better than your model. But I mean, when I say my model, I mean to me it was just kind of like, oh, that's kind of a revelational sort of concept, and oh crap, that actually works. So that's how I look at it. If they want to say nah, they can say nah all they want, but that's how I feel about it. It would be great if somebody wanted to like 3D model it and like expand on it more, but that's like I'll leave that up to other people to do if that's what they want to do. So,
I showed
I
the
mean,
angles and stuff like that. I just went
Hey
straight to
Brian, you
exterior.
were
All the
going by the
interior angles are
GPs
obvious.
from. Hey Brian, what's up? It's Dave.
What's up, Dave? What's up, Newt?
What's going on? I don't. You were
Good,
going
man.
by the
Having a great
GPs
time.
or the nautical almanac for the sun for your sun paths for your animation, and you were always checking like how much sunlight gets each area and everything. Checking out where the sunrise, sunset, GP of the sun, all that for your modeling of the dual pole, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you were looking at like where the
I
sun
see the
is
daylight
at
model you
zenith.
sent, man. I looked at it and went into deep thought mode and stuff. And yeah, I mean that really works good with just a little internal reflection. It almost works perfect, man. Um,
Yeah, I was wondering because I think that you said something about when you first were working with a figure eight sun that there was a couple areas that didn't work out quite right, like New Zealand and some of those maybe
no, that wasn't
Hawaii
me.
or something
That
else.
wasn't me, man. I drew
Oh, okay.
the bendy globe and showed exactly in order how it went from the north down and did the circle and then came back up. But I did. Somebody said that I forgot who it was with the
I
New
thought you
Zealand
said there was
bendy
like a
globe.
certain thing. Like I remembered you talking about it on here at one point where you were saying it's not perfect, but it's about right for the sun position with these areas
Oh
down
yeah,
here.
the
And I
angle
wondered
and
if
stuff.
you
Yeah,
checked out like how E did the 33-degree correction with it prime meridian shifted over, and he said that
yeah,
solved all the problems with New Zealand not getting enough direct sunlight.
yeah. It
So I
did.
wondered if
And
you
yeah,
adopted
I've
that
got my models
to
like
maybe
that
help.
too, man.
But
I've got it over. I don't have it set at zero either, man. I've got it shifted over. I don't think it's 33 degrees, but yeah, you move it over and it does. It helps. And
oh, you shifted it a bit too, but just not 33 degrees.
Yeah, I don't. I probably have at one time or another did 33, but to me it's a constant work in progress, and to me, I'm just saying that I might have if I did, I don't remember, but and it's possible, but I think that absolutely uh moves New Zealand and that's why I always
Yeah, it
look
moves
at
it
the
up from out,
extremities for any
out from
problem,
underneath
dude. I look at the
Antarctica.
extremities, dude, for angles, because there's no use in looking at the middle. The best thing to do is look at like New Zealand, California, China,
Yeah.
Asia. You know what I'm saying? And
So you kind of like just like randomly moving it instead of moving it like for a certain reason
absolutely,
or whatever. Okay. Because
absolutely, man.
historically it used to be over it used to run over the Great Pyramid. It's not even like it's not a conspiracy or a secret or anything. That's where it used to be, and that
I
seemed to
put it
work best
everywhere,
for.
dude. I put
Yeah.
it everywhere, and good.
I just wanted to pop
I
in
just
real quick.
texted E, by the way. E's going to come on here and talk.
So just for Brian, we were talking about good things, to bring up that are strong for discussing with Globers or trying to help people see the problems with the globe model. And we were talking about the gravity one, we were talking about refractions, but then one other one that needs to be remembered is the daylight on the globe, how it fails, like when we have
Yep.
70% of the globe illuminated allegedly at
69
one
to be
time.
exact. And did you hear what they did to me the other day when I was talking about that? They totally, as soon as I left, the Globers that were in here, I think it was Peyton Nash Shield, they started talking about, or I forgot who it was, but they started talking about, he's talking about 90%. I said, and I made it clear, I'd already made it clear that I'm talking about the population 90%, but it was still 69, almost 70% of the physical globe, which even if I give you a couple of percent, which I'm only supposed to give you like half a percent, 0.5% due to refraction. Even if I give you a couple percent, that doesn't answer it, and that's like September, I think 20th or September. I forgot the date, but yeah, there's a date where it's 90% of the population. But even if you're not going to throw that in their face, it's 69 to 70% of the physical Earth is in daylight, and that can't possibly work. I've literally backed the laser up using actual globe. I've tried a spotlight. I physically tried to do it. I could never get just barely more than half. So yeah, that's a really good point, dude.
And
Really
look at
good.
the Apollo
What
pictures.
do they say to that? What's their like patented response to? Oh, what's up, E1?
They
E1's here, by the way.
they make shit up and straw man us.
They just make shit up and say that doesn't really happen, even though that technically is what would happen on a globe.
It's just no,
Well, what
you
they
don't
did last
understand the
time is they
model,
said
is what
that
they
we
do.
claim 90% instead of addressing the actual point that
Oh, okay.
69
So just
to 70%.
okay. So nothing,
Doesn't
nothing intellectually honest from their side again, of
no.
course.
All they do, David, is they say, well, the flat Earth model, you'd have to have it lit all the time, 100%, and it's like that's their strategy. That's what they do.
Oh yeah, because the sun would be just as big, but that much closer.
And they just say, oh yeah, they're just like, oh, it's like a lamp above the surface.
Actually, you know what? Since E's here, there's something that you guys are talking about. I went back and listened to a little bit of your conversation on the equator and the length of the equator, and there was 24,000 miles or something. Was you were just talking about that? E, what was it you were
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
about like the distance
The
from
math.
side to side as far as like 8,000 miles or whatever you think it might actually be, and what their
Well,
claim is?
I'm just saying what they claim it's 662 to be, 6210 if I'm being exact.
Well, I was
To your
asking
point, just real
E.
quick, dude. Hey, look at the cast, dude. Right now, we got to. I'm gonna let you go for as long as you want, but I gotta point this out. Like E1 just joined Lanolin, you, Jeremy, I think Geo, me, what you call it was just here. I don't know if he left, but Rixie, Snacks, Terry, dude, we got an all-star cast right now, dude. This is like, man, this
Yeah, I
price
just
is
named
great,
all
dude.
a bunch of people to E. Said, "Hey, it's me, Brian, Snack, Geo, Ben. Come on and
E1,
talk some dual pole."
joined, dude. Yeah, and
Yeah,
E, and I
E's
don't even
here.
believe it.
But E, are you there? Can you check your mic?
Don't put me in the same category.
Terry's
Terry,
Sir
requesting
Terry,
Terry,
a
you are
Terry's
photo.
here.
absolutely part
All
of it,
star
man. I
cast.
thought I mentioned you. I apologize.
I thought he said it twice actually. Yeah, I'm here for Terry.
I said Terry first. You were always first on the list, but you must not have heard it. E1, you got to check mic check. Let's make sure he
I'll be
can
honest,
be
I don't know
heard.
who Nom Nom is, so I probably do, but But if he wants to speak up,
I remember
he's
Nom Nom from a while back for some reason, but maybe it was somebody else.
Who else you got here to correct use guys and keep an the side of the globe is
Keep us honest, Terry.
Right?
You got to keep us honest, mate.
Keep us,
You're the
yeah.
least full of
That'd be
shit
nice for a
Glober
change.
around lately, man. The least full of shit Glober. That's an award in itself.
I got a psychic impression that there's a professor out there swimming around 3:30 in the morning. He doesn't know what to do.
I like
He's
eggshells too, man. A lot of people don't, but I like eggshells, man. I think he calls it how he sees it, whether he's right or wrong. I think he's one of the most honest. He's hard to debate against sometimes, but I think he calls it how he sees it, man.
he
I got
talks
He
a
can
too
be
much. He
entertaining. I don't know
doesn't
about
know when to
honest
shut up.
necessarily all the time.
I keep getting kicked out of this channel. I'm not sure if it's me or my connection, but
Oh no,
just
must be. Looks like your icon didn't disappear for us, so it must have been your connection.
well, that's good. That means it
Yeah,
might
I was
get
trying to
fixed.
ask you. I don't know if you were. I was trying to get you to answer the question about we were discussing at one point the distance around the equator that they claim, or the 24,000 compared to like what the distance of the celestial equator from side to side would actually be, and how that worked into what you were thinking about.
Well, it's just I don't consider the equator the equator. I have a
Yeah,
celestial equator on my map, and then the equator would be the whole circle all the way around the north, and then the same would be for the south. So you've got on my map, it would be considered two equators, but the equator of as far as what everybody else is considering it is 24,000 miles on mine. It's just from the celestial equator and the prime meridian, that point zero latitude and zero longitude. From that point going all the way around the north and is 24,000 miles, and then the same distance would be going around the south from that one point.
you
yeah.
don't got
The
to call
center,
it two equators though, bro. Like you can call it a figure eight
Well, yeah,
equator
for
because yeah, I also say two equators, but the sun is ever only on one at a time, so it's never in
I
two
yeah,
don't, I
places.
don't even, I don't even consider it an equator. So I only consider
yeah.
the celestial equator and the prime meridian. So
Well,
it's just
where
it's
the sun's
weird.
at overhead, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah,
That's why the
and the thing
Pac-Man,
that I
by the
was,
way, I have to say real quick, the Pac-Man is just so, I realized in a conversation way after already discluding the Pac-Man idea, but think about if the sun disappeared on one side and reappeared on the other, how easy that would be to show, because the light would just be like a light switch flipping on and off. The light would just disappear because the sun disappears, and then it would reappear suddenly on the other side. Everything's gradual. Plus, we have GPS for the sun path that you're going by. So the Pac-Man shouldn't even be like a consideration in anyone's mind. Anyway, it's just the
Well,
way
it
they
doesn't
straw
matter,
man
dude.
it.
I just like to mention the fact that it fixes every problem. If you just say it's four dimensional and it's space, that we're not Pac-Man, but space itself. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that's how it is. I'm saying if I would just want the easy way out, I could use a 4D space time like the globe does, and that fixes every problem down to the freaking foot.
Well,
If you put every observer egocentric and put the rest of the world around them like it's 4D or a simulation, that there's zero problems. It exactly matches Google Earth to the T with no
yeah, but wait a
problems.
minute. So you're saying that the 4D would do what? It would make the sun not have a path?
no, it makes it to where you have a GP of the same location as far as if you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, because you could split it up into those four quadrants, and everything has to work off of that. It's the same way that they do the ball.
Yeah, but is there a problem with the way you think the sun moves that would need some kind of 4D solution that would make it actually more complicated and convoluted?
I mean,
Not
that's what the model
not
does.
four not 4D, but that's I'm saying the four quadrants is maybe I'm mixing up what he said as far as 4D with the four quadrants, but once you split it up to where you're only using two quadrants and one central spot for your rotation, for whether you're talking about Polaris for the northern hemispheres or the northern quadrants, or segment octantis, then you're only using those two quadrants. So you're I must have misheard what he said.
No,
Is
yeah,
if
he
he's
needs.
talking about
Okay,
4D.
Brian, explain what you mean by that. Why would that fix anything with? I know what you're talking about with the tesseract type 4D enveloping, but that's just a toroidal field. You know, toroidal fields kind of look like
Yeah, yeah. What he's
a
saying is a better
tesseract
argument, dude.
enveloping thing.
I'm just talking about mathematically and direction wise and distance wise that you can use any of the AE maps and just for lack of better words, Pac-Man. I'm not claiming that's how it is. I'm just saying if I want to get lazy. But no, the way he did it is realistically, and he's just breaking it down into four and using only two at a time. That I didn't think of that. That's actually hella interesting, man. But like I'm saying, when I'm just saying 4D for a lack of better explanation, for if you come off one side, you come on the other, you call it Pac-Man. But I would say like the way Arwen explained it, like space itself um, is what's doing that. I'm just saying that makes it a flat globe. That makes it a celestial sphere to down to the T, no matter where you put the center, and that fixes every single problem, including the distance from Cancer, Capricorn to each pole, all that, every
But
angle,
wait,
every
if
sun
you're
angle.
saying Pac-Man,
It's
though, you're
literally the
saying the
only
sun
way to
disappears and
mathematically. It's
reappears,
literally the
right?
only way to mathematically map to get it exactly like Google Earth. Now that's a big claim because maybe it ain't exactly like Google Earth, but if you want it to match Google Earth, a flat globe mathematics, you've got to bring in another dimension like the globe did with space time.
Well, wait a minute, Brian. Are you saying that the sun would disappear one place and then reappear in a whole other place, like thousands of
N-
miles
n-
away?
No, you're
No, I'm saying
mixing
that if
two
the sun's
different
out
ideas
one
of what
side,
he's
you
talking
see
about.
some residual sunlight coming in the opposite side too. The sun would be
I mean,
working
I
out.
just what my point to begin with though is that the sun would have to disappear and it would go off like a light, and that would be very noticeable. It's gradual. We see that the sun has GPS anyway, so what would be the reason for any kind of 4D concept? Because Kasra says, well, you have to work into 4D, and then Arwen's like set on some kind of Pac-Man. I'm like, this is ridiculous. The GPS for the
It's
sun
a
go around
lazy
the north
argument,
and the
bro.
south.
I'm being honest. It's a lazy. It's just kind of a lazy way out if you don't feel like doing the
But
work
it
for it.
doesn't solve anything if the light if
Well,
the
it
sun
solves
turns
everything,
off
dude. But
and then
it's just kind
reappears.
of laughable on its face.
Well, I know, but then the sun would be suddenly off and suddenly on in a totally different place. So it wouldn't solve
No,
anything. It
it
would just
wouldn't.
make it.
It'd be egocentric. In other words, it'd be observer centric. So no matter where you're at, you're in the middle of reality. It would only work with a simulation, but it would absolutely fix every problem. Period, down to the fucking inch. And
But I don't
every
think
and
there are any
everything.
problems. I don't think that. What
But it's
problems are you talking
it's
about?
funny. You never hear me arguing it, dude, because it's fucking like I said. It's kind of a lazy fix. A
But I
lazy
don't know what it
way,
fixes, and I
easy way
don't think
out.
there are problems, Brian. What's the problem you're trying to solve?
Well, I've been trying to solve them one at a time as people present them. It's why my shit's changed a little bit. At first it was the distance
It's
between Africa to
new
Australia,
perspective.
then it was Sydney to Honolulu, which is the one I've been working on. That I think I got that down good enough. But then you got the tropic to the pole. Like if it's and I feel like I kind of covered that right off the bat. Like to prove
It's
the equidistant tropic to each pole, you'd have to go in no man's land. You'd have to go south from Hawaii toward the Tropic of Capricorn to prove that case. And if you did that, you'd probably never come back. If especially if it's modeled out the way that I have it modeled out, you're in no
I'd
man's
like to
land.
hear you and
But
E1 go
that's
back
still
and
a
forth
problem,
about
though.
the Sydney.
If you're gonna
Hey,
model it
Brian,
right,
real quick. I'd like to hear you and E1 talk about the Hawaii to Sydney route because I've had him explain that to me a couple times. It doesn't seem like there's any problem at all the way that he has it, at least. I don't know if it's different than what you just did, but you said you worked on that recently. What did you do to make that work better? Brian or E, I guess. Brian, what did you do to make
new
Hawaii
perspective.
to Sydney
Sorry,
work
I was
better?
muted. Sorry, I was muted. Okay, I'm gonna make this as quick as possible. What I did is used the direction Google Map shows, like from like say down at like 15. Let's say you're in Key West or Miami, and let's say you're in San Francisco, okay, or L.A., and you are going to Honolulu. Like they made an emergency stop in Alaska, right? So if you're on the globe or the AE map, the Hawaii's gonna be you're going to take off from LA and go right beside Alaska, right? And keep going north. So that puts it just doing that and keeping on going out till you get to the right latitude, which is obviously way on the outside, close to the Cancer. So that puts you way up higher. When people think about Hawaii, they think about it south. They think about the globe and they think about it south of LA. But if you're being realistic, you're looking at Google Maps. If you're in Miami looking at a straight line from Hawaii, you're looking up toward Alaska, like it goes up north and then curves back down. That's literally a straight line on Google Maps. So if I'm going to use reality and say that's even halfway right, then I got to say that Hawaii is that way, and I'm pointing up toward Alaska. that's the way I start. That's the straight line on Google Maps, and so if I just finish that line on out, it puts it way up higher and way closer to Sydney, and I think that's the play we have on these maps is the longitudes that wrap around, and I think Hawaii's like 115 longitude, and that puts it way closer to Sydney. I think it puts it within arguing distance where they'll look for something else to bring up instead of keep
We
it on like Ruth was bringing
I think
Honolulu.
we need to run this stuff by Noah, who is in Hawaii. Look, dude, it would seem to me that the sun, the position off the west coast of America, at the same time as being off the east coast of Australia on a dual pole model, from what I've seen of the maps that you're talking about. Um, I mean, I think a solution is that we just imagine the light sort of is riding in on the magnetic flux waves that are present in the atmosphere.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't need to invoke any sort of Pac-Manning necessarily, but the location and position of the sun is
Yeah, I don't
sort
think
of
we do either, man.
egocentric, I
I
think
would,
is what Brian seems to be suggesting. I wouldn't even go so that far. It's just like relative to the position on the surface of the Earth. But there's
let
definitely
me
like
be
there's
clear
a
on that. I'm just saying if I want to be lazy and believe me, I'm making the
okay,
effort to model this out, and
what's that though?
I'm not
It's
I'm
not.
not claiming that in any video. I'm just claiming that between my friends. Like if I want to get lazy and just make it exactly
Oh
matched
yeah, I
up
don't
in
mind
Google
about that,
Maps,
man.
then I
It's just
claim
that
that.
it can't be Euclidean geometry if we've got a sun setting off the east coast of America, sorry, the west coast of America, and rising in the east coast of Australia. It can't be
Well, a little
Euclidean.
bit of internal reflection, dude. I don't think that's a problem at all, dude. If any.
Oh,
Um,
it's pretty
I think
radical
east is
from
a
what I've.
circle or west is a circle around the center of the north, so it'd have to
Do
be that
you,
direction. I don't get it.
Yeah, but okay. So
yeah, but
I've been in discussion with Geo in his afternoon, and in my morning I can see the sun. He can see the sun.
have you got a dual pole depiction with the tropics on it, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn marked on it?
Yeah, there'd be no man's land that we started with that argument. You're going to bring up the distance to the poles, but yeah, you'd have to go south from Hawaii to get to Cancer, and so to prove our model's wrong. So anybody does that, no flight goes south from Hawaii to anywhere. Period. Or over on that
Have you
side either.
have you got a depiction of the two pole with the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn marked on it?
Yeah, look at it. In my thoughts of it, they're on both sides. I think the light's polarized, so I think there's two rotations. So if you're in the north, you're going to see the northern version of it. So there's going to be a Capricorn beyond that Cancer. You're just going to be in a different version of it. And I think if you try to go like from Australia around to Hawaii and you follow the north wind, I think you're going to wind up missing like Amelia Earhart or something, and like some of them other flights have come up missing in that exact area. But that's the way I conceptualize it. Is there's two actual full rotations, and it's light's polarized. So if you're in the south, you're going to see the southern version of it. That's my because and I could back that up by saying there's no stars directly under the equator, oddly enough, and there's a couple
So
Hey,
other
Brian, real
exceptions
quick, I
like
just put
Pascal
in the
River.
on the
chat,
two
I just
pole,
put the path from Hawaii for, I think the way E explained it, I put arrows down from Hawaii to,
It's like it's a team. It's a team sport.
or I think the way E explained it, I put arrows down from Hawaii to Sydney, which is the way I mean, that's the way it works on his map at least. Seems like that works fine. I don't know what the problem is.
Right.
It's a graticule transform, so it would be the point for point, same distance anyway.
Yeah, it has a monthly equidistant still, for the most part. And if you go west, you circle your way around, so you wind up
Yeah,
above
over the
Australia. So
water.
if you go
You
west,
could
if you
go
go
over
directly
like
west
over all the
of
lands, but
Hawaii, you're
they
going to
don't
wind
do
up a
that. They
little
go
bit
over the
above
water.
Australia. So you just go a little bit south of west. Exactly what
so
Google
Yeah,
on
and
Earth
if
the
you're
maps
looking
show.
at it from that point, I mean, you're not going left to right, looking at it from above the way that the globe shows it, or from right to left. You're going left to right from the above view. But if you're looking at your cardinal, if you're looking at your directions, it just goes over the water over the same area that you would do on a globe.
That's where the globe
so
confuses us,
on
though, dude. Because, like I said, if you're at the equator and you're staying on the equator and you put a flag 6,000 miles directly ahead of you, and you're looking directly at that point, you're looking straight ahead. Now, if you go up to 40 north, let's just say like around New York or Maine or something, and you look 6,000 miles, you look at a straight line, you're going to be slightly looking up a little bit to see that that flag that's supposedly beneath you by a lot of degrees. Then now, if you go down to 5 degrees north latitude, and granted you're on the same meridian with all these lookout spots, and then you look at that flag from 5 degrees, you're going to be looking way north. Your straight line of sight on the globe, and people don't understand this. Not many do. I know a lot of people here do, but that straight line of sight is going to be looking way north and then curving back around. So you got to take these things into consideration before you start questioning angles, the sun from Australia to California. Like these directions are fucking wonky as shit. What they're claiming.
Hey, I don't know
We're
if you,
just
I don't
claiming
know
the real
if you're
direction.
doing it as well. I know a lot of Globers are trying to strawman it or just don't understand it, but they're saying like they think
Wait,
anywhere
whoa, whoa, whoa,
pointing
whoa, whoa! What am I
upwards.
doing, bro? Wait, what am I doing?
No,
What am I
I'm
doing
about to
like
explain
that?
it. No, I'm saying I don't know if this is the way you're interpreting it as well when you say north, but a lot of Globers are trying to strawman the map by saying anywhere pointed upwards is north instead of towards the North Pole. North is the North Pole. That's north.
Yeah,
It's not just because
that's
you're looking
novice,
up
bro.
outside the map, right? I know you're not doing that, but that's what they try to do. So north is the North Pole. If you're going around the north and you're still going west because west is clockwise in the north and then counterclockwise in the south. I don't know. E1
Right.
probably should just be talking about it instead of E.
Yeah, well, look,
Does
in
the
the
sun?
summertime,
Does
listen, in the
the
summertime, hold on, let
sun?
me say this. Let me say this real quick. Hold on. In the summertime, if you're in California, you watch the sun set north. You wait, just listen. This is for Rixby. You watch the sun set north of west, like way pretty good bit north of west. So it's circling around toward Australia, where they're gonna see it north of freaking east, dude. That's right in between. I don't see the problem with this, dude.
Yeah, during the summertime.
North would be a circle around the north
Mm,
center. Yeah.
you can just
Does the
draw it out
sun
on
on
a
the
map
two pole? Does the
and
sun
you'll
on the two pole model follow the tropics?
there we go.
Elder Bear, we just explained to you it goes
I've
south
already
for the
did
winter
videos
and north for
with
the
and
summer.
drew the angles out.
Yeah,
So
but
anybody
does
wants
the
to go back
sun
and look at my videos, I'll post them.
does the sun follow the Tropic of Capricorn, the Tropic of Cancer on the two pole model?
Not in the way the AE map or the globe depicts it. It goes north for the summer and south for the winter.
I
Doesn't
know.
have
So
the same kind of circle in the
in
sun.
the north, it's following the Tropic of Cancer. In the south, it's following the Tropic of Capricorn. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, and they have GPs, right?
Yeah, the GPs are the way that E1 mapped out
Okay.
his whole thing.
So in the south, when the guys were at Union Glacier, watching the sun go above their head for 24 hours,
Yeah.
when they were looking
Yeah,
south at the sun in the sky, what would the GP of the sun be?
hey, well, me in Florida, I watched it go
Depends on
south.
what,
I watched it. I watched
time
it
of day you're
literally
talking
No.
rise
about.
Union
set
Glacier,
east of
Union
what?
Glacier, I said, 79 degrees south. When they
Let me
look
You'd
at
have
see.
to have,
sun, when they look at the sun in the sky in the south, where
Let
would
me
the
know when you're ready
GP
for
of
an
the
answer,
sun
bro.
be? Well, if it's following the Tropic of Capricorn, where would
what
it
would the
be?
GP for? You have to give the time, what time are you looking at? We'll look it up in the nautical almanac for you if you want,
No,
Elder Bear. There's a
it's
GP for the
following,
sun that
but
goes
it's
around the
following
south.
the Tropic of, it's following the Tropic of Capricorn, isn't it?
It follows its path. You can call it the Tropic of
Yes,
Capricorn if you want.
yes. So, and as the almanacs will tell you, it has a GP at all of those positions.
Sure. What's the
Right.
What's your
problem?
So when you're
question?
facing
What's your
south,
question, Elder?
when you're facing south, looking at the sun in the sky, in the south at 79 degrees, where would the GP of the sun be?
Exactly
What
where it's
time of
at. What
day?
kind of question is that,
Just give
bro?
us the time and everything, Elder Bear. You're
Serious?
being very vague.
No, it
No,
doesn't
dude, it's
matter
just.
about
I
that
mean,
because it's on the
exactly where
Tropic.
it's at.
It's somewhere on
What
the
kind of
Tropic of
question is that?
Capricorn. It's somewhere
Right,
on the
it's right over
Tropic of
Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Capricorn circles around, right? Capricorn
Yeah,
circles around.
yeah, and it's
What's your
behind you. And
point, Elder Bear?
hang on. So the Tropic of Capricorn is behind you and in front of you, right? In
No,
that
yeah,
circuit
it
of the.
circles around you, bro. It circles
Okay,
around you, so it's got to be
okay.
behind you and in front of you, bro.
So when you're facing south on the two-pole model, you're looking out, away from the rest of the land, right? But you can
Okay.
see the sun, and the sun does have a GP.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah,
You're
No
exactly right,
problem.
bro.
but the almanac will tell you it's north of you
Why will it say that, bro? How does that work on a globe or any other
because it's
model?
following the Tropic of Capricorn,
How is
But
it
which
it
is at
north
doesn't
of
tell
me,
you
bro?
that
23
it's
When
north of
set
degrees.
you.
south of me,
Your
hold on,
GP will.
no matter where, wait. No matter where I'm at in the world, on a globe or anything else, in the wintertime, when the sun circles visible for there, it sets south of west and rises south of east.
I'm
It
not
gets
talking
closer
about
as it
that.
gets overhead. Listen, no matter
No,
where
I'm
you're at, it
talking
gets
about the
closer if you're
whole,
overhead.
Brian, you're doing the same thing everybody else does. The sun was seen for 24 hours in the sky.
Okay, so
Right.
all right, so now you've
Right.
picked a specific spot. So now we know
Yeah.
exactly where you're talking about. You're talking
That's what
about
I
a
said in the
spot
beginning, but
we
you
can see
weren't
the 24
listening,
hour
I guess.
sun. So what it would circle around us, right?
Yep. 24-hour sun was
Okay.
observed
Yeah,
going
the
round in
model
a
necessitates
circle
that.
above somebody's head. They were inside the circle of the sun, if you like, because it was
Right.
going
Okay,
behind them
Elder
and in
Bear,
front
Dual
of
pole
them.
Elder Bear, let me
necessitates
What's
just
the
that, Elder
question,
Bear.
Elder Bear?
real quick, Elder Bear. You're saying that there was a GP that was north when they were looking south.
He ain't thinking,
Well,
bro.
if it
He ain't
follows the
thinking.
Tropic of Capricorn, then the almanac will tell you where it is, right?
On a dual pole, anything away from south pole is north, bro. You're just not thinking this
Yeah,
through,
exactly.
bro. The
Hey,
the, the
Well,
E1
dual
had
pole
something to say real quick
necessitates what
though.
you're saying
Hey,
is
Brian.
impossible, bro.
even off the
Hey, Brian and
bottom of
Elder
your
Bear, real quick.
depiction.
E1 was trying to get in, but he's trying to be polite. So let him say something about it.
Yeah, I'll shut up for E1.
No,
I'll
no,
shut up for E1.
you just try to get little clips. We know what you're about, new perspective, but you never want to
Okay,
answer any
Elder Bear.
Yo,
questions.
Elder Bear. I'm even
You're not
confused what
going to
you're
tell
trying
me
to.
that the south
I'm
links
confused
to
as
the
the point you're
north, are
trying to
you?
make. Can you
That sounds
try
like a
it
globe
again?
you're making.
Hey,
Just relax, bro. I don't want to mute you.
Hey, what's up? Jesus Christ is Lord.
If the
Yeah.
almanac tells you where the GP of the sun is at any time, and in the south at the solstice, it's going over the Tropic of Capricorn in a circle.
Right.
Okay.
It was
Right. Exactly.
seen.
Yeah.
It was seen for
Cite what
24
you're
hours.
talking about. Tell us your
That was
time
the
of day that
observation.
you're talking about.
Let him finish.
Show
So
us the
when they were
almanac and
facing
show us the
south, hang
data,
on, new
and we can
perspective, you
cross
talk a
check it
lot.
with the
You
way
know
the
you're trying
map's
to
laid
cover
out,
up some
bro.
shit. Stop.
Just relax.
Now you relax, and then I can finish what I was saying. That sun is following the Tropic of Capricorn for 24 hours in a circle. So when you're
Okay.
facing south, looking at the sun, away from north, sun is in the sky in the south, where they will have a GP of the sun, right? Which will be somewhere over the Tropic of Capricorn.
Okay.
What position will the almanac give you?
Why don't you get the almanac out and show us the conflict that
Yeah,
you're talking
it'll
about
give
and be
you a
specific
position.
instead of
It'll
being
give you
like,
a
where's the
position. It'll
GP
give
when you're
you a
looking south?
position that is
You're
north
very
of
vague,
you on
bro.
the other side. New perspective.
You're gonna talk over me.
Give you,
I'm gonna mute you if you keep talking over
you
people,
can
bro.
mute me if you
Let
like.
other people talk.
I'm
Lana,
talking now, right?
Hey, what's up?
The
want to
almanac
move to
will
the other
tell
room?
you the position of
I'll
the
let you
sun.
go ahead,
Yeah, I'll
but
jump
then when
off.
other people talk, don't talk over other people, or I will mute you.
You were talking over
You can't
me, new
complain.
No,
perspective.
but
Just
Elder
you.
Bear.
Yeah. Who? I did.
Yeah.
Never
You
Yeah,
said
me.
get the
you said
almanac
where's
out.
what's the
Cite what
GP of
you're
the sun
talking
going to be or
about.
whatever, and then you
Yeah,
paused and you was
tell
answering.
us the GP over in the Tropic of Capricorn that you're talking about. Give us specifics. Don't be vague and act like you got a gotcha when you're just being vague and asking random questions that already have answers that you're not going to accept because you're just trolling.
No, you haven't given me an answer
Let
yet.
me
You
say
just
something, please.
There hasn't been a
If I'm
specific
told me
watching
question
a
or
dual
anything that
pole,
you
listen
cited.
real quick.
Get the nautical
Let me
almanac
squash
out and
this.
show us
Let
what
me
you're talking
please
about.
squash this simpleton shit, please. If you're in a globe model or the dual pole and you're inside the Antarctic Circle, okay, then everything is north of you. Okay, every direction is north of you. The Tropic of Cancer can only be north of you if you're inside the Antarctic Circle. Elder Bear, you're just not thinking this through. That model necessitates what you're claiming is impossible,
okay.
bro. You're
So
not thinking it through, dude. I'm sorry, but you're just not
I am
thinking it
thinking
through.
through. It
Look at my
means,
video. I'm gonna post a video real quick. I'm almost done.
hang
I'm
on,
gonna post a video where I show
hang
the
on,
sun
listen.
circling around for every month, and it necessitates what you're claiming is impossible, bro. It's just weird.
Saying
Go ahead and respond
that
to that,
Can I
Elder
when
Bear.
jump
you're
in here?
looking south, it's
Looking south from where?
E1, go ahead. I'm going to unmute you in a minute, Elder Bear. E1 hasn't even talked yet.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think what he's trying to say is that the GP of the sun is in the south, and it is no matter what at the winter solstice or in December. The sun is circling. Its GP is going to be noted as 23.4 whatever, below that 19. degrees south. I mean, that's what it's going to say all the time for that 24 hours. But like elderberry, or not elderberry, what I don't know who else was talking. I couldn't see all the names,
Brian.
but Brian was
Brian.
saying was you are looking north no matter where you are if you're looking at the sun and the South Pole. The same way you are if you're in Alaska, or I shouldn't say if you're in Alaska, if you're in the Arctic Circle and you're there in the summertime when the summer solstice is, you're looking south when you're looking at the sun, because you're looking past the North Pole, or looking past the magnetic north to the south. I mean, it's the
Yeah,
exact
that's the
same
way the
logic.
compass would read too. The compass
The same
reads
way that
anything
if you're in
away
the
from
south,
north is south. Yeah.
the same way if you're in the south, you're always going to be looking north, even when you have to turn your head because the sun's coming over your head to turn 180 degrees around as it hits noon and then comes back around. You're still looking north. I mean, you're always looking north. But the GP of the
Yeah,
sun
and Elderberry, you're
does
talking
say
to people
south.
who are basing our models off the almanac, bro. Just so you know, you can't just throw up almanac and act like that. Make some argument, bro. We're going off
Exactly.
the almanac.
Exactly. I've studied years of this as far as the almanac and how it all did. That's how I got
I
my
fucking learned
triangulation.
CellNav, dude, to do this shit. I mean, literally hours upon days and weeks and months and fucking few years of just studying this shit, dude. So you can't just throw up almanac, bro, as an argument.
Yep.
Can we let
Exactly.
Elderbear respond?
He's unmuted.
Sounds
He's
like
hot mic.
you're making a ball. I mean, if you're facing
No,
you
south,
wish.
if
You
you're
wish,
facing
maybe.
no,
south, hang on.
not at all.
If you're facing south, yeah, that's what you said. Let me speak, and now you keep talking. If you're facing south on the two pole model,
Mhm.
and are you saying that south land there connects to the north land somewhere on the
Nope,
other
that's not what he
side if
said.
you're facing north?
You didn't say it connects.
No,
Nope, that's a straw man what he said.
no. So if you were standing in the Arctic or the Antarctic Circle, so if you were at past 60 degrees south latitude to 90 degrees south latitude, whatever, however you want to look at it, and you were looking south, you were looking at the pole, but you weren't at the pole yet. You were looking south. When that sun comes around you, and for that 24 hours, anytime you're looking at the sun, it doesn't matter where you're at, you're looking north. Because if you grab your magnetic field, or you grab your compass, or you lay down your compass bearings off the pole, you're always looking north. But you're looking past the south. I mean, you're looking a south direction, but once you pass the pole, it's north.
Okay, so where does that north go to?
It goes out
Well,
as far as
it's
the
No, it's dark. Hold on, it's
halfway.
dark. If it's wintertime, it's dark. Where you're thinking about in your mind, it's
No,
dark
I'm talking
there.
about the
It gets
24-hour
dark
sun
early.
now, Brian.
Look at the
Brian, the
it's
daylight model I
24-hour
just
sun.
posted,
We're
Elder.
talking about the
it's not a matter of
24-hour sun, Brian. We're talking about the 24-hour sun. It's light all the time, 24 hours. When you're facing south,
Yeah.
all right, somehow that's north, is it?
Where are you?
Okay,
Using the-
I want to know if you understand, Elder Bear. He's not talking about literally looking towards north as if it connects to the north on the other half of the international date line. Do you understand that in his model, the international date line goes halfway down south of south or north of south, which is magnetically north because anywhere away from south is north magnetically for the compass readings, right? Not literally as if you're looking over the ball to the North Pole. And then the same way with the north. Anywhere away from north is south, and the international date line goes halfway up, and that's where they stitched it together. And they're gonna make claims that you can go to all these different islands and go across those little areas, but that's where the trick is if this map is right. Now you could say, oh, they go over it with these shipping things, go over international date line, they go over these areas that it would be stitched together. But if you're going to make everybody think they're on a ball, right? Then you're going to have to be convenient to choose the most remote area that's very hard to prove that it is for real, that there's ships going over those lines and the way the ball has it. And that's something that would have to be investigated to be, prove that it is one way or another, I guess. But this is the way it works for the dual pole layout that E has. I don't know if you want to add on to that, E.
Well, I would just like to add on, if you were standing in Alaska, I mean, forget about the Arctic Circle, just even Alaska, because I lived there and I was there and saw a 24-hour sun. When I was looking at the sun, no matter if I was looking towards the north, the sun is towards the south because I'm looking past the North Pole. And even if you think you're on a ball, you're looking south. If you're at the top of the ball at the North Pole and you're looking any direction, it doesn't matter 360 degrees from the North Pole, you're always looking south. Right? I
But they
mean,
see it's the literal interpretation that gets them because they think, oh,
right,
you're
but
at the top above
now
the North
take the
Pole and
same.
you're looking upwards. That can't be south
It
because it's
doesn't matter.
away
It
from the
doesn't
sun.
matter. It doesn't matter
I
about
know.
that. The same thing can be said if you go to the south. If I'm standing
I
at
know.
the South Pole, it doesn't matter which direction, a 360-degree turn, whether I'm on a ball, whether I'm on a flat dual pole plane. I don't know about the AE map, but on these ones, if you're at the South Pole and you look any direction on the South Pole, you're looking north, no matter what you
Yes,
think.
magnetically, but they're taking it in a literal sense, which is what's hard for people to wrap their minds around. They're like,
But
oh,
we
looking
don't.
away from the south directly, how could that be south?
But you aren't doing it like that.
I know.
So
And then you're talking about compass readings. I know. I get it. But
yeah, but
other
it
people
doesn't
have a
matter
hard time
about.
wrapping their minds around it.
But you're only using a compass, whether you think you're using magnetic compass headings or you're using true compass headings. You're using compass headings, and
Yeah.
all of that delegates off of the celestial equator and the prime meridian. Whether you're talking about true magnetic headings or
And
magnetic headings, is where you're using a compass. But
Magnetic
all of
declination.
everything that we're using uses a compass, no
I
matter
just
how
put up
you.
a video. Listen, I just made a video with the angles drawn from the South Pole out toward wherever you could possibly be, and to show this elder bear, I pulled up an old video I made describing this exact problem. It's pretty cut and dry. I draw the angles over to the east, and so where you're thinking the sun should be in the north, it's dark there, bro. And so if you're in the north while all this is happening, if you're in Alaska, it's dark already. If you're in California, it's already dark when the sun starts wrapping around from up here. You're seeing it set south, bro. So if you're up
I
here in the
specifically talking
24-hour
about the
sun in the
24-hour
summertime,
sun,
then
Brian.
it's dark up here in the north, bro. There's no sun, bro. There's no sun.
There was the sun.
El-
Brian, you were going to go there. Brian, you were going to go there and see
Yeah,
the
look at my
24-hour
video I
sun.
posted.
All right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
Elderberries,
video I
can
talking
I
just
just
about. Not when
say?
it's
posted.
dark. So you put, you put a two-pole flat Earth model. So your model is flat. So what
Yes.
happens beyond the edges of your landmass depicted?
I don't know.
Well, that would be outside the globe parameters. So if there is any land or water outside those latitude longitude
What happens
lines,
in the edge
that
of
debunks the globe just that you could go that far, right? Because the globe
what
has
happens in
those
the edge of
latitude
your world?
longitude lines
So you
locking
don't
it
have
into
it.
a ball shape.
Wait, what
So
happens in the
you
edge
are
of your world,
imprisoned.
bro? Wait.
No, no.
Whatever world you live in, Elder Bear, what happens on the
Elderberry,
edge of
suffice
that?
to say that while the dual pole model is broken, it's not broken at the Tropic of Capricorn during the world winter solstice. It's not broken there. Where it's broken is Pacific equatorial, you know, travel, like the
And you're
international
Well,
telling
it's,
me
it's
dateline,
that.
like
where
the
it's
new
where it's
perspective
either
We'd
was,
have to
broken
disprove
or
like
it.
where they
where
think it's
new
To disprove
perspective
it,
was
that's where
talking
we'd
about
have to look
around the
into that.
international dateline, that Pacific equatorial
Yeah.
place. That's where it's broken. Okay, you have to focus there
well,
if
it's
you want
broken for
issues.
the
You're
globe
not going to
season.
find any issues
Yeah, it's broken
with
No,
the
for
no.
the
You're
Tropic of
globe
just,
season.
Capricorn and the
you're just,
24-hour sun.
you're just imprisoned within a system, and that
Okay.
defines
Yeah,
all that
that's
you
you,
can try
bro.
and relate
Elder
to,
Bear,
right?
take 3 minutes to go watch what I just posted, please.
I
Please
am
go watch
walking.
what I
Anyway,
I'm
yeah,
just
it's
looking a
only
bit.
posted.
I'm looking
broken
a bit,
percentage.
Brian.
It's
I'm
only
looking a bit.
broken.
I'm looking a
It's only
bit, Brian.
broken percentage if real quick because I got to talk to percentage. Yeah, it's broken if it's a ball, then it's broken because that's where they broke it up. But if it's actually two pole flat Earth, that's where they stitched the ocean together on the back of the ball to make you think that it's a ball. And yeah, it would be broken if it's actually a ball, but it's not because we know it's flat already and we know there's two poles, so it has to work with
No,
two
no, it
poles
would
and a
make
flat Earth.
sense on a ball, but it's broken on the dual pole model because you guys have to deny this travel that's at the Pacific equator,
No,
like
we
It
don't.
would make
near
No,
sense
the
if
international
that
dateline. You guys have
travel
to
myth.
say
that
that.
travel is
Hold up, you guys have to say
validated.
that someone traveling 1 degree north, traveling 1 degree, like 2 degrees to 1 degree south, is going from one side of the flat Earth to the opposite side of the flat Earth,
No,
which is
dude. No.
retarded.
What do you think's on the other side of the equator in the north and the south? You think there's just nothing there, dude? But I will give you this though. If we're gonna just start
What?
disproving models, that would be where we could go to disprove it. You got to go south from Hawaii, but who's doing that? No flights go south from Hawaii. They go west over to Sydney, and then east over to whatever, dude. So yeah, I
Yeah,
was
he's
just giving
talking
you
about where the
Forget a flight. You
international
could be
date
on a
line
boat moving 2
like
degrees
meets the
only.
other half of the international date line, and he's saying that there's shipping routes. I guess he doesn't think it's a ball, but he thinks it's, those shipping routes still work somehow. I don't get
they
that
take too
contradiction
long,
really.
dude. The shipping
Of
routes
course,
take. If you look at
new
how
perspective. You
they're
forget
doing,
that
dude,
it's
there's a
wraparound,
lot
so it
of
makes
questions, a
sense
lot of head
if
scratching.
it wraps around from one side of the Earth to the other. But without wraparound, it's broken.
Yeah, but you have the sun just somewhere. Then I don't get that.
What do you mean? The sun wraps around as well, bro.
If this, well, what's the sun path for your idea of a dual pole flight?
The sun path would be akin to like to how it works on a globe. It works like
Well,
it wouldn't work
it's not a globe.
any otherwise.
Well, you're saying it's not a globe, so how would it work on a flat Earth for
It's
you?
not a globe, but it presents basically as a globe if you're taking all the like the um coordinates and stuff like that, taking the
You have to
GPS of the
draw it
sun and
out,
stuff like that.
percentage. If you think
What's
it's
that?
flat and it works like a globe, you're going to have to draw that out and make your concept very clear. Because you're saying all these globe things are totally valid and it totally breaks the dual pole, but it's not really a ball. It just presents like a ball, and there's a wraparound that works. You have to make some kind of explanation with a diagram that makes that make sense to anybody else. Maybe I'm not getting it. How would it be a ball but not a ball?
Easily just wraps around from one area to the next, just like with it doesn't matter what
Yeah,
model you
that
want to
does
use. If
fix
you
all the
use
problems.
AE, if with AE it'll wrap like from the southern ring, that'll be one place, and
that
it'll
fixes
turn into
every
South Pole
problem. He's
basically.
right on that.
It
It's
doesn't
like
fix any
relation
problem,
on
Brian. What he doesn't.
Yeah,
What do
I
you think
promise
he's
you,
even
bro.
saying?
I promise you it
What
does.
kind of
I'm
wraparound is
not saying
necessary?
that's
I
wait,
don't
wait,
get the
wait. I'm not
wraparound
saying
at
that's what
all.
we live on. I'm just saying that is a
Well,
scapegoat.
explain why it would make sense because you're saying it's not a ball, but it wraps around and people go on the other.
Yeah,
So
like
cross that
the
international date
ends of
line
the world
somehow,
are
but it's still not a
connected.
ball.
There's in terms of abstractly, there's no issue, and in terms of real world data, it'll match up. It's just whether or not you can, you know, your paradigm can encompass something
Yeah, but
so
what's your flat
alien.
map look like? What does your flat map look like?
It
I need to
it
see
could be any
Any
map.
AE
It could
map,
diagram
be
of your
any
flat
dual
AE
map.
pole.
map,
It could
bro.
be AE. It doesn't matter because it works with all of them.
Any AE map.
Oh,
Any
you're
map
saying
like that
It
magic?
could
If
doesn't
be.
even
we
have to be
if
AE.
we
It
just
could be dual
include
pole,
magic
bro.
wraparound, it's okay. Magic wraparound, and then it doesn't matter
No,
what the
the
map
dual
looks like.
pole
Is
is
that
an
what you're
AE
saying?
map, bro. The dual pole is an azimuthal equidistant map. Most of them, anyway. Mine's a little
Yeah, but
tiny
the
bit deviated, but
point, Brian, is he's saying the dual pole is broken because he thinks that there's ships that go across the international date line and on the blue side of the ball, but he doesn't think it's a ball. So that makes the flat map in his world unidentifiable unless
well,
you can
there
draw
are
it
a
out
couple
for us.
questions, Dave.
Don't say
Dave,
on the
there
blue
are a
side of the
couple
ball. I
questions
said
in that
on
area
a
that
Pacific
are
equator.
interesting. Obstacles, bro. I mean, if I'm being honest, and
Yeah, but
I'm
draw
not
it
gonna.
out because I have no idea how that would
I'm
work. I
not
don't
saying
get the
it's impossible,
wraparound, why
bro.
it would
I'm
need a
not saying it's
wraparound, how it could be
impossible.
wrapped around without being a ball. Show what your flat map looks
I mean,
like
I don't
and
agree
why it
with
works
all that.
better than the
I
dual
don't agree
pole
with that statement,
percentage.
dude.
No, I'm saying
He's
percentage. What's
saying
your flat map look like? You have to,
just take the
It
it's
doesn't
Gleason
not a
matter.
problem
new
It
with
depends on
perspective.
these
which one
maps. You
you
have to
want to
show
use.
why
It
yours
works
isn't
with all
broken
of
and
them.
yours
It's
is.
not hard. Even like in your model that you like put in the side chat right here. If you're someone's traveling near the international date line to the south and they travel, they're traveling north, they would wrap around to the top of your to the other side of the flat earth. You understand?
Oh, you mean they would
It's
disappear literally, and like somehow
No, I'm
disappear
saying
and
everything
then reappear?
is imperceivably connected. So it's not that they would disappear or anything. It's just that it's all just connected and it's seamless. You understand? That's how you have to frame it.
No, I
Or
don't
else you have,
understand. You're
or else with
saying they
any
would go
map
from
that
the
you
top
use,
to
you're
the
gonna have
bottom.
issues.
How? No, make it very literal. How do they go from the top to the bottom without some kind of Pac-Maning disappearing, reappearing thing?
It's not disappearing or reappearing. All the waters is like blended. All everything you see is blended. All the people are blended. Everything is blended. That's what wraparound means.
Blended? What do you mean blended?
Blended to the like connected to the other side of the earth. You understand?
Well, you're saying the top connects to the bottom, but it's still not a ball? That makes no
Yes.
sense. It's a ball. If the top connects to the bottom, that makes it a ball. You can't
No,
pretend
it's
it's
not
not
a
a ball
ball,
and it is a
but
ball at
it
the same
connects
time.
as if it is a ball.
You see, but you're talking about magic reappearing and disappearing blending.
There's no disappearing or reappearing. It's all just blended together.
How do you go from the top to the bottom then if you're not disappearing and reappearing?
Yeah, it's just blended together.
You can't just say blended and make that have any kind of literal sense to anybody.
Listen, it's blended. It's all connected as if it was a ball, but it's not a ball because there's no curvature.
Then that makes no sense because you
It's
have to
it's a test
literally
of your
connect it
faith.
and draw it
In the
out to
end,
make it
in the end,
actually a
new
map.
perspective. It's a test of your faith. Okay.
Yeah, let me put
If
it
you
like this.
affirm
Okay, well
that the
then we're
Earth is
getting into
flat without
metaphysical,
curvature,
magical ideas
Dave,
that don't have anything to do with necessarily
Dave,
have anything to do with our
it's all
shared
right.
reality.
let me
It's
get
all
in real
right,
quick.
but you
If
could just
you're
say
going,
blended.
if you want to
You could
disprove
say
my
so one
model,
model's broken, and then say blended fixes it. But then you're just saying,
Dave,
oh, have faith in
Yeah,
blended.
because
That
without
makes no
wraparound,
sense.
the dual pole is absolutely broken. AE
can
is
I get in a
absolutely
word
That,
broken.
here?
All
yeah,
of
but
them
you're making
are
a
broken
bold
without
claim, and then you're
wraparound.
saying blended fixes it. You can't. I can tell
Dave,
you,
chill
blended is
out, man.
broken because blended
Just
is like a
listen for one
metaphysical
second,
idea.
dude. Please, bro. Listen,
All
if
right,
you're
go
on my
ahead.
model, you want to disprove my model. What you do is you go to Hawaii, and then you go due south from Hawaii. And if you can't get to Antarctica in about 12 hours, which you wouldn't be able to on my model, going due south from Hawaii, then but see, nobody goes due percentage. Our point is nobody goes due south from Hawaii, or they'd be dead because there's
We're
nothing
not even
there.
talking about
What
Hawaii, bro.
is yours different than the one new perspective put,
Not
Brian?
much, man. Not much.
Okay, well then the issue isn't necessarily with Hawaii. It's just in the
I know. I'm just using that
mid
as an example,
Pacific.
bro. I'm just using that as an example. That would be the Pacific. The South Pacific is pretty much no man's land, except if you follow it to if you go west from Hawaii, then you wind up just a little bit above Australia, about 7,500 miles or whatever.
Yeah, but it'd be more
And
apparent.
if you
It'd
go
be
west
more
southwest, then you wind up in Sydney.
okay, but it'd be more apparent opposite of the center of the equator that they show. Kind of towards Africa. Opposite of that, near the international date line, would be more apparent.
That is where the international date line is. That would be zero. So Hawaii would be just before that, about 115 longitude. So it'd be about a few hours before the international date line. The international date line is pretty much no man's land unless you're way up north by Alaska and Russia and all Green, whatever. This would be a way to disprove my model. I'll grant you that, but nobody does that. It's not a practical route. The only thing practical from Hawaii or over Pacific is going east or west. You know what I'm saying? Or barely
Whether
north
it's a
or
practical route or
southeast or
a
west.
typical route of all these Pacific freighters or not is irrelevant. The point is you have freighters that are traveling near the equator and
Show
near
us
the
the data
international
for
date
that.
line.
Show
No,
us the
they're
data
not.
for
None,
those for
none
those
travels
routes.
near the equator. None of them travel near the equator. They cross it as quick as they
So
can
it's
through the
impossible on your
Suez
model as well.
through the Suez Canal or the Panama or whatever. It's a shorter route in either model to go north or south if you're going east or west. To get away from the equator. The equator is the biggest ass circle. Nobody travels the equator.
I'm saying traveling near the equator. I'm not saying they follow the equator.
Yeah, well, on a globe is a straight line. If you're looking along the equator, if you're not on it, you're looking north to look at a point 6,000 miles away. That you're looking straight ahead on the equator. Go 5 degrees north of that and look at that same flag you had planted in the ground 6,000 foot ahead. Now you're looking up toward the damn poles to look directly at it. Now all of a sudden you're looking north. You went up away from it, and instead of looking back down to where you came from, you're literally looking further north to see it in a straight line. I think
Well,
as soon
okay,
as you
with this,
understand
Brian,
that, as soon as
do you
people
get
get
that?
that, they'll understand some of these problems aren't problems.
Hey, Brian, do you get that? Like the true uh, pole to pole uh, um, uh, travel that they haven't done, and they faked it with the Pan Am flights where they dipped down in Antarctica. But the true circumpolar navigation would be from the South Pole all the way down the international, all the way around the back of the ball, the international date line, all the way back around the blue side of the ball to the North Pole. That would be the travel route that if they wanted to prove it was a ball, they would have done it by now. If you could actually go along that international date line from one pole around the back of the ball to the top, to the North Pole. They can't do that, or they would have, in my opinion. But that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about Hawaii or any kind of travel
That's a
like
fair point.
in those areas. We're talking about the international date line that they stitched the ball together with the sides and the top for it to be a dual pole. Now, either they'd stitched it together, and that's something we can investigate or prove one way or another. But like we last time you were here, percentage, we talked about that. Was showing me there's fleets of ships, right? You can go on Ship Tracker and see fleets of ships either to the west or the east, but it looks like they're right next to each other on the tracker, right? So they're making it seem like that exists in that way, right? Or it does, it's a ball. I mean, I don't know how you get away with saying it's like a ball but not a ball. But regardless of that, the international date line has to go halfway down south of south and halfway up north of north for E's map to be right. And that's where they stitched it together, and everyone thinks, oh, it must go together because we're on a ball. But that would be the area that they tricked us with. E, do you want to say
Well,
anything
if
on this?
they do disprove that by doing that route you're talking about, which is fair of you to say,
They would have done it
or they
already,
do
by
my
the way.
thing of going south to
Well, they
Antarctica from Hawaii, then and they disprove it, then if I'm going to remain a flat earther, then I got to go with what he's saying, which I agree with.
Well, would you believe them
well,
if they claimed that
they
they did
did
it?
it.
How would you know they
Hey,
actually
hold
did
on,
it if they
hold on.
claimed they did it?
Jesus
New
Christ, dude.
perspective. They did it. It was just twice as long of the distance as what it should have been. It was only supposed to be
Uh,
12,800 miles from the pole, or not the pole, but from the shore of Antarctica all the way down the 154, whatever, well, 180 is what they say it is, the 180 latitude or longitude line, down the international date line all the way up to Alaska. What it ended up being was something like 23,000 miles. So you can see that
oh, okay.
well, I don't know.
When did they
If you
do that?
look
What was that?
that was when at least where I'm getting it from is Admiral Byrd tried it, and then the people that went before, after, not Franklin. What was the guy that went down there to try and get to the South
Captain Cook,
Pole?
Cook?
Captain Cook
Cook?
tracked
No,
60,000
no,
miles
Cook.
in Antarctica.
It wasn't Cook. It was a guy that
Ross?
no, I don't remember what his name was. Or Shackleton. Shackleton, the guy the people that went before Shackleton tried to circumnavigate. I think it was like in the 1890s or in beginning 19th century. They tried to circumnavigate, like what you're saying, from the opposite side of Antarctica. So if you went to the bottom of South Africa and then crossed over the pole of Antarctica, and then tried to go around the backside of the ball. That's what they tried to do. And what they ended up doing, I believe, is they ended up trying to go up to the Arctic, but they made it just up to the equator. And when they made it up to the equator, they had to come all the way back to South America, where they crashed their boat, and they logged something like 13,000 miles to Fiji, or I'm not sure if it was Fiji, but one of the ones, Kiribati or whatever that island is over there on the celestial equator, and right where the northern quadrants and the southern quadrants meet. And they
Wow, dude,
logged
that's
it out as
interesting,
being,
bro.
so you
I
can
didn't know
see that
that.
they tried to do this before, and they logged it out exactly like Admiral Byrd said, that when he circumnavigated from Antarctica. And you can't take a lot of this stuff that they're talking about, because all of this was from, whether it be the Admiralty, or whether it be America's of Navy, trying to prove things or discover things. So a lot of this stuff is propaganda that you're thinking, or that you're reading
Yeah.
about, whether it be Admiral Byrd, whether it be any of these Shackleton, Franklin expeditions, any of them. They were all at all the same time, the 1890s through the 1910s, 1920s. Everywhere around the world was going to the Arctic and to the South, the Antarctic, to try and figure out what they could find, because well, I'm not going to say that, whatever. So when they started doing that, even Admiral Byrd said he went 63,000 miles or 64,000 miles all the way around to come back to the other side of Antarctica. And
Interesting.
if you do the math, it works out to be about what the size is of what the magnetic field would be if you take the ball Earth latitude and longitude grids, the dual pole Earth latitude longitude grids, and you just map them out as far as actually measure it out, the grids, the arc minutes and stuff. It turns out to be that it's 24,000 miles around the grid of the north quadrants, 24,000 miles a grid around the south quadrants in the circle, the what we're saying, the equator, the outside edge. And then right through the center would be 12,800 miles or 12,400 miles on the celestial equator on the grid,
Interesting.
the magnetic grid. So
Well,
that's
look at the
why.
pictures I just put in live stream one text E, but or Brian. That's the area we're talking about where they show us pictures with triangles going from these islands around, and you can go straight across from Easter Island to Australia. That's the illusion. So if they did trick us into thinking we're on a ball, they would have to make it seem like that's possible, and in maybe very extravagant ways. I mean, maybe they do that. Maybe that's how they did it. Of course, that would be if it's a flat Earth, which we know there's two poles, which we know. That's how they did it, right? And then some of the stuff you're talking about, E confirms that they were going way further, way longer. But as far as the ship
Well,
tracker stuff
that's
goes,
just the stories that you can read about. I'm not confirming that's what it is, and I'm not saying that's exactly what happened. I just know that's the propaganda from all the different lineages people, whether they were maritime navigators, whether they were admirals, or whether they were some military operation. They all say these sorts of lines of things. Now, I will say this about the dual pole map. I don't believe, like what somebody else was saying, that there's a problem at the international date lines crossing over theirs. I don't have any mathematical problems or any navigational problems or plotting problems with that. Where I have problems in, and you have problems with this no matter if you're on the ball using the nautical almanacs, maritime or aeronautical, it doesn't matter, is where you get on the celestial equator, that middle line that's all the way through the middle of the map at the very edges, not at the middle where Egypt is, not at the edge where Colombia or let's say Ecuador is, but when you get past that, when you get past, let's say 120 degrees west latitudes, and on that 0 latitude on the celestial equator, either west or east, that's where my anomalies are. They aren't problems because I can adjust for them. I know the skewing of my graph, my conical graph, to where I can plot the positions. But everybody, when you travel, like I think what Brian was saying, when you're traveling from Hawaii to wherever, it that's when you start having those problems. When you travel south through those certain grids, that's where I have a problem on my map. The other problems I don't
yeah, but
think
it's
are
not your map that's the problem. It's just the way the magnetic declination or the compasses freak out at those outer edges of the field.
well,
Whether
no,
you're on a ball or a map, it's not a
I mean
problem
it's
with
a
the dual pole
problem.
necessarily.
It's a problem with matching it or overlaying it with the ball, or overlaying it with the American polyclonic, or overlaying it with the Gleason map. You can see that these are the places that you have problem. Not all the other maps, you have problems in different areas. Like he's talking about the international date lines. You'd have problems with that on the Gleason map, or when you get to the um, azimuth equidistance with one pole. There's problems at those exact points at the international date lines, at these points that that doesn't work out. I don't think that works, or that's the problem on here. I think it's at that place I sit. That's where I think the
Well,
anomalies
yeah,
are.
but it's not a problem with the
No, it's
dual
where
pole as much
whereas
as it is just you're saying it's an anomaly that already exists regardless of what map or what the layout is, right? Because of the
Sort of. I
compass.
mean, it's a problem. It's a problem that you have to figure out yourself. As far as if you were traveling through that area and you used my celestial triangulation tool, and you were using my information as far as my graph to get you to be able to travel exactly in the positions you wanted on that GP from north to south in those locations, it's not going to be straightforward. You're going to have to know that your magnetic declinations are going to not be perfect like they would be on this graph. You're not going to have to know that you're going to have to change your true headings off by 3 degrees or 4 degrees, depending on what your latitude is. If you change one latitude out from that celestial equator, even though it should only be 1 arc minute, now it's 4 arc minutes because you're at that anomalous area. I know what to do, but it is an anomaly. It's not straight.
Right.
I can't use the same mathematics and trigonometry that I can to triangulate my position with the stars as I can in those exact circles on the top and bottom. When I get to those anomalous areas, that's when I have to fudge. I shouldn't say fudge, but I have to skew the information in order to get my
Right.
grid
Well,
location
when
right.
you say that,
look,
okay, regardless of those problems, when and percentage is talking about the international date line and the ships traveling, and you're saying there's no problem with your map as far as navigation and ship routes and all that goes. Well, if they're
he's
saying
wrong.
that they're going across the international date line from 0 degrees over to 1 degree north on that blue side of the ball, well, how do you solve that for like what's your best answer for
Because
that?
you're not, because nobody's looking at my map the way that it actually is, the graph is. So if you were at 180 degrees west and you were at 0 degrees whatever on the grid, on the actual magnetic grid, if you look at it, the 0 degrees north and 0 degrees south, or let's say point whatever 0 degrees, are touching on my map. They're at the very edge, because if you remove my latitude lines, you see that the longitude lines aren't a circle or a straight up and down line to where you go, oh, okay, no, 180 stops at the very top right hand corner on the left, and then 180 south is at the bottom. No, they bend like a bean.
Yeah, they
You've seen
bend.
it.
Right. And
So when
me
you're
and
at
mine's just
100,
kind of like a sine wave.
You
so
didn't
right,
say
so when
blend, you said bend, right?
they bend.
Okay.
So the end of 180 degrees is at the top, the top of north. So if you have to go all the way to the very top of the edge of the map and then push down to the North Pole, to that's 180 degrees. That same line
The
goes all
hemisphere.
the way down to the outside of the edge of the left of the map, all the way down around, and then comes up to south.
Hmm.
So
And it'd be
so
way further distance. But yeah, that would be the way to prove it, one way or another. Is somebody, but I mean, regardless, if someone, even if they showed us
But
like a
nobody's
guy
done
in a
it yet.
ship, who knows? Even if they did do it, they should have done it already. Is the point? If they did it now because they're afraid the dual pole's right and they want to debunk it, they could just
I
claim they
don't.
did it or show they did it in whatever extravagant way they need to make it seem like it's still a ball. So it's too late.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Listen,
No, you're
I
right.
put an image in the side chat of the equatorial Pacific area, and there are a lot, not a lot. I mean, compared to other places, obviously there's not as much, but there are cargo vessels, there's passenger vessels, there's tankers in that area. Okay, so it,
Yeah,
like
there
unless
are.
you're saying
He has showed me those.
unless you're saying that they're traveling for hours and hours and hours as it bends all around the world to get to the other side of
It's
the world
20 days
to
to get from
travel
China to
two
LA,
degrees.
bro. And hold on, listen, I
What?
agree with
Go
you,
ahead.
but they are traveling east and west though, and it takes 20 days for a tanker that's supposed to be doing like 21 knots. Why does it take 20 days to get from China to fucking port of LA? Like, that's ridiculous if you look. But yeah, I will agree. But remember this:
Well, wait,
they are
percentage.
traveling
Hold
Do
up,
you
Brian.
say
There's a
you think
passenger
west,
vessel.
besides
You're
west,
telling me
that?
that
east,
the
and
passenger
west.
vessel traveling north or south 2 degrees is going to go from one side of the Earth to the other?
Why would they travel at
Wait,
2 degrees, bro? That would make their route
I'm saying, let's say
hold
there's a
on.
passenger
Percentage.
vessel
Where did you
right
put your
here.
thing that you're talking about?
Go ahead.
We don't use the side chat. I looked in the side chat. It's not here. Live stream one text. Put it in there. Whatever you're talking about.
That's where I put it in.
Oh,
Live
okay. Because I
stream
put
one
all the
text.
international dateline lines in there. Those 6 pictures. You put it above that. Okay, let's see.
Brian,
I
there's a
understand what you're
passenger
saying,
vessel.
dude, and I
See,
agree
hold
with
up,
the
hold up. So
concept.
in the picture that I posted, there's an orange triangle, right? And just to the left of it, there's a blue triangle facing north. That's a passenger vessel traveling north near like the equator. If it's on this dual pole model, if it travels 2 degrees north, it's going to be going, or like I don't know. Hold up, let me see where it is exactly. It says it's 1 degree south, right? So yeah, if it travels
Where did
two
this come
degrees
from, by the
north,
way?
this is from
Where's this from?
marinetraffic.com.
Marinetraffic.com. Okay.
Yeah, if it travels 2 degrees north, that means it would be on the opposite side of the flat Earth, the complete opposite end of the flat Earth, according to this dual pole model without wraparound. How does it work?
Well, you
It
don't think it's a
doesn't.
ball. You
It's
think
not a
this
ball,
is
but
actually
you have to have
accurate,
the
but you don't
faith.
think it's a
You have
ball.
to have the faith that Allah created a flat Earth that like it presents as a ball. These ends of the world are connected, and like if you're gonna put it in a map without wraparound, the most accurate one would be a globe, but it's not a globe because there's no curvature. So you have to,
I can't
this is
have
what
faith in
This is
something
what I'm
that
saying.
doesn't make any
Jaron didn't
sense, though.
have the faith to adopt wraparound, so he went to the globe. It's one or the
But the
other. You
wraparound
can't
doesn't
have
make any
both. You
sense.
can't
How am I
have a
supposed to
flat
have
Earth.
faith when
Hold up,
it
let me
has
just
to
say,
make
every
sense,
single
bro?
flat map, every single one, without exception, is broken without wraparound. Simple as that.
Yeah, but no, it's not simple. If you're saying blending and it's a ball but not a ball, I can't have faith in something that makes no sense. It has to. You have to be able to draw it out, make your like something like in a literal way for people to
Do you believe
like
in the Trinity?
have faith in it. No, I don't believe in anything.
Okay,
We're talking about reality, dude.
fair
We're not
enough.
talking about metaphysical beliefs.
Well, I mean, this is what you have to have if you're gonna be a flat earther.
Well, if
And
that's
if
No,
your
you're gonna
answer,
adopt
then I
to a
don't
map,
think
you
that
have
your
to have
criticism
look,
the
of
look,
dual
metaphysical
pole
belief
has
that
prove
there's
it.
any
wraparound.
merit. If you're saying that the dual pole is broken because I don't have faith in something magical, that's not a very good
You
argument.
could call it magic.
No, what you're saying is the dual pole's broken. I agree. If you go south from where you're talking about and end up in 7,000 or 10, 6, 7, 8,000 miles, if you end up in the Antarctica, that's the same one that they went to. Yeah, but nobody does that, dude. That's what I'm saying. My model's disprovable, bro. But nobody does that. Nobody goes south from 2 degrees north. In fact, they don't even
They
try
would
to
have
do
done
that.
it
They either go
already.
east
They
or
would have
west, and
proved
they
it.
head up north or south from the south point. None of them go into that no man's land. None of them travel that because they'd be dead.
What about the
Whether it's a
passenger
float or
vessel
a
that I
dual
just put in
pole, they'd
the?
be fucking dead
What about
because
the
there's
passenger
nothing
vessel
out
that I
there.
just put in the chat?
You see what I'm saying though?
Yeah, but that's
You
That's
could
just
no
look.
man's
You could
they're
land.
look
gonna. I
It's
the
mean,
either
think
one or
coordinates
about
on
it,
the
the
dude.
bottom
other.
right
Hey,
too.
percentage. If they were gonna trick us into thinking it's a ball, they would have to give you information to think it's a ball in that way, possibly, right?
What?
If the extravagant lie is that we're on a ball, then some of these things you're talking about with shipping routes may not be what you think they are from what they're showing you. They have to go to
Yeah. So I'm
an
saying you'd have to
extravagant
deny all
extent
of these
to
things.
make this seem possible. But I've never been on a shipping route that goes exactly the way you're talking about. In fact, E1's talked about there's loads of armadas of ships just parked right there. They're not just going through that big long line of armadas of ships that sit there 24/7 all along those areas, right? Not on the backside of the ball, but east and west of west, all the way around the perimeter. It's like blocked by ships.
The thing
There's
is,
nobody just
you
sailing
can
through
track
there like
these
like
things.
the ball makes you think.
You can
Well,
track
yeah,
these
that would be
vessels.
something that to look at. If you want to track them, it could be real information, it could be false information. E, what do you say about this, by the way?
Am I muted or am I unmuted?
No, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. I'm taking a picture right now and I removed the latitude lines so that all you can see is the longitude lines. This might help. I'm not sure because I think what's happening is the way that a lot of people are looking at my map when I show it to them for the first time. Trying to get a good picture. Hold on.
Or you could share a screen too if you wanted.
No, I'm not sharing the screen anymore because it takes over my entire screen and then you guys see all kinds of shit.
Okay.
I'm not doing it.
All right.
How's it going, everyone? How you doing, Dave? It's Kasra.
What's up,
So
Kazra?
I wish they'd watch
yeah, how
my
you doing, Dave?
videos, man.
I
Because
watched your
I will
videos. Come
admit,
on, bro. Yeah,
I
yeah.
will admit that yeah,
I
you
just
could
want to.
disprove my model. Not speaking for E, but you could disprove my model by going to Antarctica from like Hawaii or over there where percentage is talking about. And I also agree that, but I will say nobody's done that yet. Nobody goes there because I mean, even if they was going to Antarctica, what's there on if you're in a ship, ice. But here's the thing: I will agree with percentage. If you want to just fix it, like if you want to look at it as a realm, like a simulation, yeah. If the sunlight comes from one side and comes from out the other, and you just look at it as an egocentric, then it is an identical mathematical angles, everything identical to a globe. It would be the only way to do a celestial sphere on a flat map. It'd be like 4D, like type of shit. But I don't. I would prefer to stay in the realm of
Yeah, I don't think we need to invoke
see.
4D or
I
any of
would
that.
prefer
I
not
mean,
to
let's
go
just
that
stick to
route yet,
reality.
but that would be I'd be boxed into that route if I wanted to stay a flat earther. If they were to go to Antarctica from Hawaii and get there in about 12 hours, but nobody's fucking doing that, dude.
Anyway,
And if
yeah,
they
even if
do,
they
then
said they did it,
that's
Brian, I
fucking
wouldn't
pathetic.
believe them. I wouldn't believe them. They could go to extravagant extents to make you think they shit sailed somewhere. It wouldn't debunk shit unless you did it yourself, right?
You
Anyway,
already
E.
don't believe them, dude. They ain't even
No, I'm
done it. They
saying
ain't even.
if it's a dual pole and it's a flat Earth
Hey,
and this
kudos to you,
works, they
bro.
should have done it already. They should have gone all the way up from pole to pole along that international date line, and they never
I
do
agree.
that. They would have done it by now.
I agree. I agree on that one. But the kudos to you, bro. That's a hell of a stance, bro. Yeah, I don't
Well,
believe
I'm
them.
just
They ain't
saying
even
that even if they did it now, it would be too late. You know what I'm saying? But what's your picture that you posted? E? You want to explain it?
Well, it's just the my map, dual pole map with the longitude lines on it. Remove the latitude lines so that you can see where 180. Because mine's set for Egypt is the center. You have 180 degrees west, 180 degrees right. So every line is a 15-degree mark from I believe it's either 15 or yeah, it's 15. Every 15 degrees would be one line on my map. So west is 180, east is 180 out to the edge. So you can see
That
that
looks
if you're
good, man.
If you follow those lines all the way out to the west at 180, that's where it crosses. If you come up off of that, up north, let's say of the celestial equator at 100, all the way to the west, all the way to the left, and you're at that center line and you start going north of there, as you go up, you are still on the 0 latitude. But you're on the 180 that entire way, all the way around, all the way up to the middle of Alaska.
What do you say
You
about the shipping tracking that percentage is talking about that makes it look like they're going from the top to the bottom seamlessly?
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to say. If you look
It's
at
basically
all of this, if you look at this information along this line, they cross all the way out to, and on their maps, it's 156 degrees west. And I believe, I don't know how it would work out because it's not going to be like that. It's going to be it's probably just going to show 180 east. So at those points, with inside of that towards the celestial equator, they are crossing that celestial equator, that line. But outside, that's where the skew is. That's where you would have to pull all this around to either be a Gleason map or a ball map. All four corners have to come back and touch, as far as my map, and that's where
Yeah,
the
in my
skew is.
map.
So
Oops, sorry.
go ahead.
In my
No, go ahead.
map, dude,
So wait,
nobody.
real
There's no
quick,
route.
E, are
Hold
you
on.
saying?
No, wait, real quick. In my map, there's no routes to do that. There's no routes that go from north to south, bro. In my model, that's no man's land. That's South Pacific. On either side, it's like South Pacific. It's death land. It's no man's land. None of them go seamless. I showed the shipping routes. I draw how they go east and west. I've explained the angles to the sun. I've explained the shipping routes. But like I said, you can still disprove my shit. Just go to Antarctica from Hawaii. So I'm not acting like it's perfect or there ain't no problems. But the shipping routes and all that shit, there's no seamless routes on mine. And I think that's what he's showing and doing a pretty good job of it. You know.
Well, or you're saying that, okay, so E or Brian, in your research, have you ever found that they're showing that these ships are going across these areas from top to bottom as if they're just going on the blue side of the ball across that line
Nobody's doing
that the
that.
dual
How
quotas
the
are up? Well, okay,
who's
so
doing that?
E, have you ever seen any routes of ships that are cargo ships like percentage is saying that would make your model
If they go
impossible?
from China to L.A., then
No, it's not just because
yeah.
you want your model to be true. It's actually you've tracked a lot of ships. I mean, I've seen you do it. You're looking at
Do you
Yeah.
think
shipping
they go
routes.
around underneath the North
Well,
Pole or above the
what's he
North Pole?
talking about with his shipping routes that make it seem like it's impossible?
I've not seen one do it. I've seen him come really close to doing at the exact points where he's talking about, and it's the exact points I'm talking about. It's just in a different visual perspective of where it's at. So on my map, it's going to be not at that celestial equator. It's going to be up in the corners. You know, up in the very corners is where mine is. When you bring it all together, that's where everybody goes, well, look, they're crossing right there. Yeah, but on my map, they're not doing that. They're following that edge all the way around
Yeah, they're circling
that
it. They're
latitude line.
circling, right?
But
Right.
there
Yeah,
They're
but
is
circling.
see,
one or two of them.
they're only
I'm sorry.
traveling like 2 degrees, and you're having them travel the entirety of the flat Earth.
Well,
Like it
no, I'm
just
having them
doesn't measure.
travel that two
Hey,
degrees.
percentage. Say from where to where, real quick, so we know exactly what you're talking about. From where
You
to
have to
where in
draw it out.
Chicago?
You have to draw.
I
Well, he's
put it
showing pictures that he
in
thinks
the
shows that the shipping
text
routes are
chat, bro. I
crossing those
Can you
areas.
put
tell me?
a couple of
I
screenshots in the
couldn't
text
find it.
chat
Can you
where
tell
you
me
have a
verbally?
passenger vessel one's and another one's a tanker really close to the international date line. If you have any like oil freighters or whatever leaving that tanker,
Yeah, yeah.
you're
From
gonna have
where
an
to
issue.
where, please? From where to
No,
where, so I can help. So I can see if I can
he's
figure
telling
it
us
out.
exactly where. He's talking about that exact place. It's 156 international date line on the west coast, but it's not on depicting where we're at. They do have ones
That's
that
way
go
closer to
really close to
Australia,
it.
though, right?
It
That's
I think you
way
mean
closer to
no,
Australia. If
176.
you talk about
no, it's
156.
well, it's 156 west, so it's like
Yeah,
below.
right. So
Okay.
it's past.
No, I put in
It's
my
past
screenshot. I put
California,
one.
past Hawaii, right? So it's about 25
Anyways,
degrees past Hawaii, past Honolulu, wrapped around closer to Australia. It's
Well, that
Don't
would
say
be
circling it.
north.
wraparound.
That would be
yeah,
north.
it'd be like
That's
southwest
no
from
problem on
Hawaii.
my model, dude. I don't get it. I'm missing
Well, he's
something. But
saying
I'm
he's
with
saying
you.
the south. He's talking about a place that's converges the south, the north, and the 156. So you're looking at the 156 up in the north quadrant, or whatever map you're looking at up by Alaska or Hawaii, up in that area. He's talking about down on the celestial equator at 156 or 155, where it crosses over to the south.
They take the Suez
I'm trying to
Canal,
warn you guys.
Panama Canal
Dual
goes
pole is a
immediately
trap,
southeast
just
and
like
north
AE.
They don't
It,
travel
dude,
very
They're all
it,
fast.
it,
traps that will.
Yeah,
They're all broken
it's a
until you
blended
wrap
trap.
until you
It's such a
like adopt
blended trap.
wraparound.
The
a trap.
blending and the faith is a trap, bro. You're trapped in your
Okay,
faith, and now that
then you're gonna
you've
just
made it
be
a faith
dismally
thing,
disappointed.
then you doubting it would make it like you're doubting your Trinity or something. You're trapped in
Well,
your faith now because you're saying it can't work unless it works just like a ball, but blends and somehow have faith. That doesn't really
Hey,
make
percentage.
sense with a literal reality. You understand that?
Do me a favor,
No, it makes
percentage, and
perfect sense. You just
one
have
of
to have
these
the
ships
faith.
you're talking
Go.
about, will you tell me where they're coming from and where they're going so I can make sure? Because I don't want to just overlook what you're saying, but I've done all the shipping routes. I've only shown a few of them, like the ones that people said were problems that I didn't think were. Maybe I'm missing something. Can you show me, or can you find out, or can you not just point out where a
I
ship
wish
is
I
at? Can you
could.
tell
I
me
wish I
where it's
could
coming
share
from
my
and where it's
screen. I don't know
going?
why I
Even
can't
if
share
it
my
ain't right
screen.
now, like if you can DM me where it's coming from and where it's going, dude, I would really appreciate that so I can look into it.
There might be too
Yeah,
many
I mean
people to share a
these
screen.
are out of AIS range. The vessels that are in this area, so they're only tracked by satellite. If you want to, like you could choose to disregard all of this and say that's all BS, or you
No, I'm
can.
not doing that, bro. I'm trying to figure. I'm trying to
No,
attack
I'm
it head
saying
on. I
not
want
you
to know where they're
specifically.
coming from
One
and where
could
they're going,
choose
dude.
to
I'm
like new
not being
perspective
a
was.
dick.
Go ahead, man.
Well, E1 was showing me like there's armadas of ships. Like you could, if you wanted to, I could bring it up. What's that? What's the shipping tracker you were using? Was it naval
Shiptracker.com.
ship tracker or naval something? Naval tracker or something like that. But you were showing me that there's armadas of ships that are sitting right next to each other on the picture that we were looking at with the app and the way they were showing it. But you were saying that those are not actually sitting right next to each other because they'd be like
You
1,000
know,
miles
no, wait a
apart.
minute,
But
wait a minute,
the
dude. You
graph
need to
has to show
stop
it
doing
that
this.
way.
No, hey, stop doing this, dude. Stop trying to say what
I'm
I
trying to
said.
confirm.
That's not what I'm saying. So what
I'm
I
trying to
said
confirm.
is
Was that what you
look
were
at this
showing?
map. I would say look at this map and look at what the GPs of this each one of these what they're saying that these planes, these ships are, where they're at. Then you get the actual latitude and longitude position of each one of these ships, and you transpose it onto mine. And onto my
Okay.
map, it shows you that they are not sitting 100 feet or right there in an armada. They're thousands
I
of
like
miles
that
away.
I like that
That's what I
floppy
was
thing, dude.
saying,
That
Eden.
looks
That's
good.
what I was saying. You were saying. I didn't think I got it
Brian, you can
wrong.
look at my
That's kind of what
screen
you
if
were
you
saying,
want to
right?
see this stuff.
Well, I'm not saying that that's what is happening. I'm saying that if you take the information that you're getting from, let's say, the navigational ship trackers or maritime satellite information, you transfer it from map to map to map, you see a totally different array of what's actually happening.
There we go. Interesting. That's great.
And if you
Check the
take the
GPs out,
buoys,
the actual
if
GPs.
right, so if you take the buoys that are anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter whether it's for, let's say, tidal buoys. Let's say it's for, they just have a major shipping lane that has problems with rocks or underwater problems with their magnetic declinations changing or whatever, magnetic anomalies. They have buoys there, right? But most of the time, there's no more than 3 buoys, navigational buoys, not just buoys that mark, green and red and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, navigational buoys that they can log on to, track, and trajectorily, like, radio frequency connect into. Okay, well, these ones that they have out in that armada I was talking to, there are 24 of them. That should be significant if there's 24 time zones. Should be significant if they split it up in exactly that many as far as the way that
Yeah.
they do the latitude and
That's right
longitude.
where the
And
time zones are mucked up too. That's
there
another
you go.
interesting. The time zones are all
So,
wonky over there too.
and they move
Doesn't sound
them.
like either of you guys are just discarding all of that information. You've
I
actually looked
promise you I'm
into it,
not,
checked
dude.
out the
I promise
GPs,
you I'm not.
followed the
No,
routes
and
to make sure that it's not. Okay, go
they
ahead.
move these things. They move the armadas that I've been tracking for at least 4 years. It could be, I mean, I could have seen them, but actually knowing that I'm looking at them for this reason, it's been about 4 years. In the summertime, or what we would call the summer solstice in June, they moved the entire armada of 200 ships or thereabouts of all different types and the buoys themselves to the northern hemispheres. And it's like 2.6 northern in the western side, as far as what I'm looking at. They moved them to the north. And then in the winter solstice, so in December, actually it's more in September when the equinox happens, they cross them from the north to the south. And it seems like they're following the path of the sun to be able to show whoever is out there
Ah,
to where that
that's
is
an
split
interesting
up so that
concept.
navigational buoys are at that exact location that we're talking about, not to keep you from going, to keep you from letting the only way this is going to happen that you're going to go outside of this is if you let your compass lie to you or let your compass trick you if you didn't follow the compass, because the compass is going to do exactly what you don't think it's going to do. The stars are going to move in the wrong areas in those areas, just like they
Right. When you
do.
start claiming 180 degrees declination, dude, then maybe you might want to question the model that is claiming
There you
that
go.
shit.
There you go. I think you do understand what I'm talking about.
I like it, dude.
I'm sorry, I went on a rant there. I apologize.
No, it's great. No,
It was
that
Brian.
doesn't sound like
Brian, if
you're
you
just
look at my
ignoring it,
stream, you'll
trying to
see
make the model
the
work.
marine
You've actually
traffic.
looked into it.
Okay. Hold on. Let me look at your screen. Yeah, I'm just trying to get an idea. Even if you say it's coming from here, going there, and then veers to there, I'm not trying to pin you down to. I mean, I would like to get it where it's coming from, where it's going, so I could make sense of it. But I promise you, I'm not trying to dodge it, and I promise you, I understand what you're saying about the coming up out of the other side and all that. I'm not disagreeing with that. That does fix shit, you know. I'm trying to personally avoid that. I'm trying to model it for what I believe I could see and stuff. But you know, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
something you can actually show.
impossible.
You
I'm
can't
not
just
going
say
that
have
route, bro.
faith.
And every time I go to talk, bro, I'm just saying. But yeah, I'm gonna look and I'm gonna do my best to address it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
I'm just fucking with you, Dave.
Yeah, I was just saying you have to show it. I mean, it can't just say you have faith in something that's a ball but not a ball percentage. I'm not trying to come down on you. I'm just saying you have to realize we're trying to put a literal GP continent layout with actual routes that make sense, that have latitude, longitude lines. I mean, I respect your faith, but you can't expect other people to think that that's like a sellable, literal way of interpreting it because you're
No,
not
it's
even
not
saying it
that.
yet.
It's not that. It's not just about faith. It's an argument of deduction. Okay, if you accept that the Earth has no measured curvature, and you accept that there's real world data points such as these, wherein you have Pacific equatorial travel, where they travel just short distances, and on your map they
Yeah,
would
but
be going from one side of the Earth to the other. You know,
yeah, but how is
then
one
you
point?
have
Wait, how is one point
go.
disproving anything though? I mean, you're just showing a point, bro. I don't. I mean, what am I missing?
No,
I might be missing
these
stuff, but
I'm showing vessels that travel. You know, like there's a passenger vessel here that's traveling north from 1 degree south, for instance. Right? If you look at the bottom right, it's 1 degree south. It's traveling north. If it's traveling across the equator on the dual pole model, that's literally going from one side of the Earth to the
yeah,
one
but
end of the
okay.
Earth to the
What?
opposite end
Wait,
of the
what's the
Earth.
longitude? What's the longitude? And say so they're starting off in the south. Okay, so on my model, where at
So the
south? Because
longitude on
I'm
this
having a
one
hard
is
time.
176.
Okay, 176. So in my model, they're on the opposite side. They're past New Zealand. They're past Australia, past New Zealand. They're practically as far away as they can get on the other side of Australia. But so they're down low. So you're talking about they go north to what? There's nothing north of there on any model, bro. There's nothing fucking north of there. You're in the middle of the Pacific. The only thing north would be like where they head to Alaska or fucking Greenland.
No, hold up, hold up. They don't need to travel far. Just they're at one
There's
degree
nothing
south.
there,
If they
dude.
1 second, 1 second, they're at 1 degree south. If they're traveling just to 1 degree north, 2 degrees, just crossing the equator, this breaks the dual pole model because that person would have
Well,
went from one side of the Earth to the other side of the Earth,
no, not if
one
they're
Do you
end of the
see?
Earth
if
to the other
Can
you're
end
I
of the
zooming
try?
Earth.
around
Can I
both
ask you this?
north
Do
and
you see on
south,
that
right?
map though? Do you see on that map though that if you go to any position, any GP that's 0 degrees north to cross to 0 degrees south, you are only on the celestial equator? Do you not see that on that map, or you don't see it that way at all?
What do you mean you're only on the celestial equator?
So so all of these positions that you're talking about on my dual pole map with the latitude and longitude, if you go to 180 degrees west, 1 degree north, and you want to cross to 1 degree south on the 180 degree west, it doesn't matter which latitude and longitude line you want to talk about as far as 90 degrees west, 90 degrees east, 180 degrees east. You're always on that center line in the center. Do you see that or no? You don't
If you're
read it
sticking
that
to the centered line, you don't need to stick to the centered line. And yes, it's still an issue. What's
Okay,
there's
so
an
if
issue.
I no, so if I go up along that area and I'm like, let's say on my map, if you're looking at where like he was talking about Hawaii or Alaska, to where you're north of north, you're at the very top of the map. That is not the equator. That is not zero latitude.
No, the equator would be north of it.
No, it's south.
Yes. Just like
No, I'm
you have the
telling you, dude.
widest circle.
Look
Hold
at
up one
my
second.
map.
You have the
I'm not
widest
talking
circle.
about.
What
I'm
latitude
not.
is the widest circle on your map?
Say that again.
What latitude is the widest circle on your map?
Which circle are we talking about? Latitude or longitude? That's
There's
what I
two
tried.
circles, dude. There's two complete
That's
circles.
Latitude. I'm talking about latitude.
exactly. So you've not touched the 180 until you're at the bottom for the latitude for using it for the map. Do you not see that?
Or the very top. But the question is where it touches from the 180.
Yes.
What latitude is the widest map? Widest circle, I should say.
It would be, well, 0 or 1. You'd have to have at least a number. So
Zero
the
would be the
biggest.
equator, right?
No.
On
That's
the
what I'm
globe,
trying to
zero would
say.
be the
So
equator, right?
no, that's no zero. Zero would
Fine.
be at
On
the
your map, zero
celestial.
south would be the same as zero north, right?
No,
Picture
zero.
it like this,
What?
dude. Picture this.
No.
Picture two equators, right? And then circles that wrap around the whole fucking thing that are concentric for north and south. So in other
I
words,
know,
there's
and I'm saying,
360
Brian, the
degrees
widest
in the
circle.
north, and there's 360 degrees in the north and the south, bro.
And they're not
In my model,
circles,
you're
by the
gonna
way.
hit an ice wall. You could call Antarctica if you're doing what you're showing right there, and you keep going, you're gonna hit a ice wall if you go south, and uh you're gonna hit like Alaska or what you call it if you go around and go north. I mean, I don't know. There's two full circles in my model, dude, but there's still an ice wall. If you're in the north and you try to go south from Hawaii, you will hit ice rim or whatever. Or I could eliminate that, but in my mind, there's a border there holding the water in, maybe. But still, you're gonna hit what you could call Antarctica, but you're not gonna go to fucking excuse my language, you're not going to go to the South Pole Point like what's the name of it, Edmonds and Scott or something like that. Like it's not going to be that place, and there's you'd be pretty much dead. That's no man's land. Nobody goes
Brian,
there.
if you'll
I mean,
allow, he said that
yeah, good.
So
zero south
let
is
me
different
just
than zero north. Make sense of that,
let me just
E1,
chime
please.
let me just chime for a second because there's some couple of things that you guys are making the mistake here. Yeah. So I've been working on this model for many like a couple years, and who said that? Oh, well, who said that? You got a
Oh
problem,
my
bro?
goodness. I have a problem because
Oh,
I
what's
was
wrong?
asking
What's
someone
wrong?
a question. You want to jump in, and you can't get a.
Okay, go
You
on. No,
can't like.
because you know, because
There's
we're
no
not dealing with
finish.
any. No, because no, the thing is that hold on, because the thing is that most of the dual people are talking about circles. In the dual model, there is no perfect circle. The latitude lines are not perfect circle. Even the latitudes are not perfect
Yeah,
circle.
yeah,
They
that,
are
yeah. I
called
agree. I agree.
yeah, they're called yeah, they're called complex curves. So you guys can go on. Once you guys are finished, then you can ask a couple questions about what is the real thing about the dual because
How is
this is
that
not the
relevant?
right
Whether
way.
they're perfect circles or not, how's that relevant to
No,
what we're
because
talking about?
no, the thing is like, let me just tell you this one. I'm going to say something else, and you guys can think about. This is going to be so important, so interesting for you. The West and East on the globe model and the AE model are the same, or they are like they are pretty much something that it's tangible. Like when you say west in the globe model, it means that you're going to west. Even the AE model, west is west, right? East is east. You go around a circle. If you go clockwise, you go west. If you go counterclockwise, you go east, right? So this is the same in the globe model. So AE and globe model, they have the same feature here in terms of east and west. But when you guys are talking about the dual pole model, you need to understand that West and East are completely different in dual pole model. And why I'm saying that is because let me give you this simple example. If a ship would have sailed on the equator toward from east to west, and if that ship will be equipped with a normal compass and a gyro compass, right? Now, when the ship is sailing toward the east, the dual pole model is telling us that the west that comes from the compass would have started deviating from the geographical west. And this only happens in the dual pole model because in the dual pole model, if you look at it, the right side is called east, the west side is called west. However, we have these concentric circles, and we call them, like when we go to east, we'll say we're moving around east, we're moving west, we're saying that we're going around west. So the west and east are not exactly the same way that we have in the globe model or the AE model. They're off from each other. Or in other words, when you're going to west, if you follow your compass, you would go through on these concentric circles, right? Like the way that we had in the globe and the AE. But if you only follow your gyro compass, now what is a gyro compass? Gyro compass is something that it's a little bit different. It's kind of like a gyro. Now, if you follow your gyro compass, you will hit the wall of the two-pole flat Earth model that you guys are talking about. So
I
these are
agree.
two
I
different
agree.
things. Yeah, exactly. This is so important. Now, one of the ways that we can verify whether the dual pole is correct or not is by comparing the value of a gyro compass with a compass and see how they get off from each other as we move toward the west or toward the east. Because on the equator or in the midpoint, they kind of on each other. They kind of align together. But if you look at the two-pole flat Earth model, when you go at the end of the west or at the end of the east, that's exactly where you can see your gyro compass and your compass will completely show you different directions. And this is only happens in dual pole. It doesn't happen in the AE. It doesn't happen in the globe because the globe and AE, their equator is just a simple circle. Now, back to the equator. In the dual pole flat Earth model, there is no equator. There's no line called equator. Don't look for a straight line of dual pole flat Earth model to fly. Everything everything is a complex curve. Everything is a complex curve, and they are not perfect circles.
How is this
Okay,
relevant?
so
How is this relevant to a couple of degrees of travel at the equatorial Pacific area, causing one person to go from one end of the flat Earth to the other end of the flat Earth?
can you just say it again? I didn't understand exactly what you
I'm
mean.
saying
What do you
is
mean?
what you're talking about, east and west, and these complex curves. How is this relevant to what I'm saying breaks the dual pole model, which is a couple of degrees of travel in the equatorial Pacific area, which would have to
Yeah.
be like mapped as someone going from one end of the Earth, literally one end of the Earth, the northmost or the southmost, to the other southmost or northmost, respectively.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So if you follow your compass, you're gonna go align with this complex curve. You're gonna do a circumnavigation. So the circumnavigation would have happened as long as you would have circumnavigate with a compass. But if you just throw your compass away and just
Okay.
use your gyro and just heading toward the west without knowing where you at, you're gonna hit the end of the world in the two-pole flat Earth model. And they're gonna come back. You're gonna just hit the walls, and that would be your west. This is what I'm trying to say to you guys. If you look at the dual pole is way different than the AE or even the globe
Hold on, so
model.
you think that there's a
West,
wall at the very top and at the very bottom?
there is the wall around the two-pole flat Earth model can still be existing, can still be postulated. It's not like that it's not that they have to remove the ice wall. No, we can still have the ice wall around the two-pole. And at the same time, we have around the two poles as
Yeah,
well.
I agree.
So
I
the
agree. There's
Okay,
an
Antarctic.
but
ice
what
wall all the way around it.
latitude? Forget them being circles. Let's say they're complex curves. What latitude is the widest complex curve?
Picture this. Picture a circle.
It's
Picture a
That's
anything
question
circle
for
in the
above.
north,
him.
a circle in the east, and the south of it,
Oh
and
my
then
god.
picture other circles around both of them, and go out another so many degrees, and you're gonna hit a wall no matter which
Yeah,
way you go, east, west, south.
exactly. If you
So
got the
No, it's a
the
question for
gravity of
Kasra.
the point.
What
I know,
latitude
I know.
is the
I
widest
understand
complex
your
curve?
question. So your answer would be exactly the same answer if I ask you what would be the biggest latitude line or your longitude line on your globe model. If I ask you what would be your greatest
You're so confused.
longitude line, You would say that, okay, it would be positive 1 degree, one above the equator, or even your equator would be your greatest tropic, right? That would be your answer. Now,
Sure.
for us, it would be during this it would be during the equinox. Yeah. During the equinox, the sun would have go through its longest trajectory.
That's a
Both
good answer.
equinoxes. No, it's not an answer, but but that complex curve. Now, here's your answer. That trajectory that sun would have taken during the equinoxes, both equinoxes, doesn't matter. That trajectory, that complex curve, it's the largest complex curve that sun would have taken. The day after, it
Yeah,
will
hey, I
become
didn't mean
smaller and
that. I
bigger.
didn't mean that
Yeah,
facetiously, bro. I mean, I know where you were getting at, and I like that. That's a hell of an interesting thought, dude. Seriously.
yeah,
So what
yeah.
latitude is
I
that?
never
So
thought of it like that, dude.
yeah, exactly. Because I've been working on this for like 2 years, and
What
I'm so
latitude is?
Yeah, me
happy.
too. Me too, bro. Me too. And
Oh my
kudos
goodness.
Yes,
to your
I'm so
presentation.
happy
I
that
feel like
people are
you're
just
a
grooving.
fellow pioneer, bro.
Yeah,
Can we stop
and let
glazing
me
each
tell you
other?
something for
What
a second.
latitude is that?
Latitude, I told you, latitude would be 0.00001.
Glazing each other.
Or
All right.
it
So
would
you
be,
have
okay,
zero
hold
point
on, let
zero
me
zero
just, let
zero
me
zero
just give it,
zero, which is
hold
that
on,
in the north or
let
in
me
the
just give
south?
you, let me just get both. See, it's a
So you have
symmetrical
two different
pattern.
zeros, one at the north, one at the south.
They're not zeros. They're not zeros. That's your mistake. There's no
You
zero
just
in
said
our model.
0.00. Oh my goodness.
No, no, no. Yeah, exactly. I said 0.000. Yeah, because I wanted to tell you that, like, if you want the exact number, yeah, I can do that. I can do the calculation. I have to just, we have to predict the sun trajectory on the ground during the equinox. If you predict
Fine.
it,
Let's
if
say
you
you
do it on
have.
the
Let's say you're in a ship on the water during the equinox. It doesn't matter what time of year if you're on a ship. If you're not going to the sun, right? Let's say we're on a ship, and we're in the water, and someone is at the very north, 0.000 degrees. Okay, and then travel south.
Yep.
Then what happens?
They
So
die.
what?
Then they die, dude. They die.
What?
I mean,
I
show me
understand that, but
somebody
what are we
doing that,
talking
dude.
Bro,
They keep
I
going, they'll
showed you
fucking
screenshots
go into
of
no man's
passenger
land and
vessels
die.
near that
You can
area.
show me
Like, I
somebody doing
mean,
that in
it's
real life,
okay.
bro. I'll take it
You guys can
serious.
deny all of the travel that happens in that region.
You're looking
That's
for the
Show
greatest
me the
circle in our.
fucking route, bro. Show me the route. Don't just show me a dot on a screen. Show me the route, and I'll address it.
you
You're
can
not
track
showing me a
these
fucking
dots, bro.
route,
Like
bro.
I don't have time to sit there and track it for
Hey,
you, but
but
you
let me
could go
say
on
something real quick.
marinetraffic.com or whatever other
I like
website and you
Kasra's
could see these
idea
things.
of the. Let me say what I thought about with that idea. Like that, it's almost like a sine wave would be the longest path of the. I mean that thought
Yeah,
is crazy interesting.
But I
That's
love
like
your
opened my
answer,
mind up to
Brian. They
a
yeah,
lot of
die.
ideas like that. So you could look at
yeah,
it from one side or
exactly.
the other, but you gotta picture the two full circles, bro, around the north and the south. And I don't have them as perfect circles either, but I think the sine wave
Exactly.
idea and what you call it as a four quadrant idea, which is also interesting. Kaz, you need to look at E1s, which I'm sure you have. But dude, I don't know if you've seen
Yeah.
any of my models. I've did the basic shipping routes and the sun angles and all that stuff, and it's still a work in progress. But I've been doing this for years and years too, bro. So I
Brian,
consider
yeah,
you
no,
That's
I
cool.
hear
That's
you.
a
I
cool.
fellow
hear you. And I'm
pioneer,
not
bro.
saying okay, in terms of the two full circles, one in the north, one in the south. I'm saying that the outside of both of those circles are connected. You understand?
Yeah, but you got to
What
get
do you
to
mean?
somewhere to show me that I'm wrong. In other words, you got to get to Hawaii to Antarctica. Okay, I already conceded that. If you can go to South Pole Station from Hawaii in 12 hours in a plane, then my model's done. I got to consider something
Forget
else.
such
Okay,
large
but
trips. You don't
nobody
need a
does
large trip
that,
like
bro.
that.
You're just saying that you're just putting a dot on a screen and saying it's going from north to south, acting like it's going somewhere. No, you're not going. You're not showing any actual routes that are winding up somewhere because everything is in the bottom on my model. Except if you go to the top or the bottom of either side, you're in no man's land on a globe. Even you're in the middle of the Pacific where you fucking die if you go that way because there's nothing
Okay.
there.
So at the very top of your map, Brian, do you have 0 degrees as
That's the
well? And then at the
Pacific.
very bottom, 0 degrees as well?
Yeah, in other words, at the top, if you go east from let's say Tokyo, then you circle around to LA, right? If you go east from Antarctica, I mean from Australia and slightly north, you circle around to LA, okay? If you're in the south and you do the same thing, if you circle around from New Zealand and you go, let's say west, then you're gonna circle around to South America, dude. I mean, dude,
All right, hold on. Forget circling, forget
you're
travel.
pointing
That's
out no
not what
man's
I'm
land,
asking you,
dude.
Brian. With all due respect,
Sorry,
that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you,
Okay.
like, let's say you have a passenger or like a vessel, and it's not moving. Okay, it's at 0 degrees. Where is it? At the very top or at the very bottom?
One or the other. Can't be both.
How can it not be both
Right?
if it's at 0 degrees?
Well, I mean, well, I ain't gonna say can't be both because I like to keep an open mind, bro. But it's one or the other, okay? But you're fucking fucked if
So
you're on.
what
If you're,
determines,
if
hold up,
let me say this,
in the
if you're
real
in
world,
if
what
you're in the
determines
top
whether
one,
it's
you're in a bad
oh
place.
my god.
How about that?
In the real world, if they're both 0 degrees, what determines whether it's like, are you saying there's two different sets, that there's 0 degrees north and
Yes,
0 degrees
absolutely,
south?
dude. Absolutely.
No,
Oh
My
my
prime
goodness,
or
that's
my
retarded.
Yeah, let me answer. Hold on, don't interrupt me, dude. You got a bad habit of asking a question and cutting in, and at least spare the fucking insults, please. Okay. I'm gonna say that my meridian, not my prime meridian, but my the opposite, whatever. Just to speed this up, it goes to the top and then out the bottom. Yeah, so you can only be one or the other. And either way, you're in no man's land. You're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean if you're on either side, and you're in no man's land, and you better get your ass to east or west if you're in the top or the bottom. But yeah, you can't be both.
Yeah, but the thing is, whether you're north or south depends where you are relative to 0. So you can't be at 0 north or 0 south.
you're
No,
sort of
I
asking.
just conceded that, bro. Yeah, you're one or the other.
Let me just tell him to.
But
Let's
you're
go to
holding that they're both
Wikipedia.
0, and I'm saying that you're at 0. So how are you at one or
They're
the other? You
absolutely
have to be
both
at
zero, bro. The
either.
sun's over one day, and the next day it's at the other one.
All
And
right,
it'll
I
be
give up.
dark
I
one
give up.
day and light the next. And then
Consensus.
you'll see the sun go south one
The
day from the
radicals
north
are
and
given.
north from the south the next day.
Exactly. The radicals are given percentage. Just go into Wikipedia because your question is very simple. You want to know technically how it works, what are the coordinates, how the radical looks like. Just go into Wikipedia, just type the equatorial azimuthal
That's not
flat
what I need to.
projection.
What I want to know.
You're looking
I
for
want
the
to know how you
reference
make sense.
lines.
I want
I
to know how
know.
you make sense of these, like, the outermost
See, our
edges of
reference
your
lines
world
are
having the
imaginary.
same exact coordinate. How does that work?
Yeah, the coordinates. So let me just tell you the coordinates that we would have used, right? If you look at the two-pole flat Earth model, most of them they have a cross in the middle. Cross is just that is just illustration. It's not real. It's an imagination. We just put it over there in order to have a reference, but it's not real. It doesn't expose anything. But the rest of the circles or the complex curves. I'm gonna repeat myself. That's straight.
You deem 0 degrees. They could travel along 0 degrees, traveling west through Africa, traveling mid Atlantic to the South America. They could travel along that cross that you're mentioning. You understand? So it's not like completely made
The
up.
cross. No, the cross doesn't exist, and it's not a complex curve. You're
Oh my
wrong, and
god.
you don't want it to wait. What do you mean, oh my God? You're wrong. The cross.
So
This is
someone can't
exactly what I'm
travel
telling
along
you.
0 degrees?
You have to go and read about this prediction and know how the radicals and coordinates works on that. That's why you're asking these stupid questions.
Does the
Because you're
equator
telling me
have
that
a GP? The sun have a GP?
on the
Yeah,
equator, it's
during
not a straight line. It's not a straight line in the dual-pole flat Earth model. You need to understand that. It's a
sure. No, I
transition
understand that. I
period.
understand that. I understand that.
No, you
But
don't
it
understand
rises
things
in.
because you're saying that
Oh
no,
my
no,
god.
you don't understand because you're saying the crosses are complex curves. Right now, you say that
I
those
didn't say
crosses
they're
are strict
complex
lines.
curves. I said that the same as complex curves in so much that they could be traveled along with, like, with, along the latitude. You could travel along latitude. You could travel along 0 degrees. If you're denying that, then there's no common ground between us.
No, no, I'm denying that because you're not going to be on that straight
Okay.
line. You need to understand you're using your compass and you will eventually be on a complex curve. I'm gonna repeat myself. That straight line, it's an imagine. Yeah, you can be close on it. You can be very close on those lines. But at the end of the day, when you use a compass and when you use a circumnavigation, you're not gonna be exactly on those straight lines. I want you to understand this.
No one mentioned exactly, like, you never deviate from
No, you're
0
mentioning
ever.
exactly. No, you're mentioning
Oh,
exactly. No,
I
this is
never
the
said the
thing.
word
You can be
exactly. Don't
close.
put words in my mouth, man. I'm saying you're traveling along the
Okay, yeah, you
equator.
can be. Yeah, along the equator. Yes, roughly around the equator. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Now, The equator there is 0 degrees, right?
No, it's not a 0 degree. You're still confusing yourself with the stupid globe
Oh
model
my
and the
goodness.
AE. Yeah, and the globe. Yes, and the globe model, the 0 degree is your equator. And the AE, stupid AE, the 0 degree is the equator. But in the tuple flowers model, we don't have that straight 0 degree thing. It's all complex curves. Even our sun doesn't go in a straight line the way that it goes in a straight line in your globe model, or it goes in a perfect circle on the AE map. In the tuple flat Earth model, there's no such a thing as a straight line or a perfect circle trajectory. Everything moves in a complex curve. So don't look
Okay.
for that straight line on the equator. Okay?
All right, but the widest, most complex
Okay.
curves of the north and south meet in Egypt or what have you along that
Yeah,
area
yeah,
at
yeah,
0 degrees,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So,
Close to the zero. Close to the
sure,
zero. Yeah.
close to 0, close to
Close.
0. The point is, if you
Yeah,
travel
yeah,
from 1 degree north, 2 degrees down to 1 degree south, you're gonna be traveling a very short distance if we're in Africa, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now I want you to do the same with the 0 degrees on the other sides of the Earth, on like the opposite ends of the Earth. Okay, the very north
Where's
and
the
the
other
very
side? We
south.
don't have any other.
0 degrees. Arguably, you should be able to travel just a short distance and get to from 1 degree south, 1 degree north to 1 degree south. Except on your model, that you're literally going from one end of the entire Earth to the other in that short distance.
Okay, so the topography of the tuple flat Earth model there, we have some problems with the topography. I haven't spoken about it, and I'm not going to talk about it right now because people need to talk. People need to still cover the Euclidean tuple flat Earth model, but we got problems in the Euclidean tuple flat Earth model as
Yeah, but
well.
he
I'm not
listen
saying
though.
that
Hold
it's
on.
yeah.
He's talking about going
Yeah.
from
So,
the
but
middle of the Pacific, circling around back to the middle of the Pacific. What the fuck ship does
Not
that, bro?
around and back. I'm saying just going a very short distance. On your model, yes, you'd
Bro,
have to follow this
go to
complex
Google
curve and go
Earth.
all the way around
Go to
and
Google Earth, dude.
nonsense.
Listen, you got to do this
that's short, by
for
the way.
people, kid. Go to Google Earth and put yourself exactly where you're talking about and say if I go where and look where you're at, bro. You either go east or west or you're fucking dead, dude. No matter what model you're on, unless you got a lot of supplies, bro. But yeah, I would say if somebody could just travel all the way around the prime meridian in the anti meridian and shit and do a full circle, yeah, you got me. I'll admit that, but bro, you're just dreaming up some shit in your head, like there's some
If you
route
go
that goes
around,
back
if
and
you go,
forth, north and south. Wait. What I was
exactly.
gonna say is put yourself over there, at 1 degree, and look what's north of you. Nothing until you get to Alaska. Look at what's south of you. Nothing at all until you get to some ice wall or Antarctica or something, dude. Same thing in the dual pole, bro. But either way, you better get your ass east or west, or you're dead.
I'm with you. In real life,
You don't
obviously,
need
you
to
should
be
have
at both.
provisions and
I
stuff like
answered
that.
honestly. I said you're at one or the other. You can't
Yeah,
be at both. So you're at one or the
exactly.
other, but it's
Yeah,
similar circumstances
exactly.
on either side, bro. But yeah, that at least you're going to a spot that is in contention and can be in question and could be if we wanted to falsify this or prove this model, it would be the place to go. But you're writing it off as impossible. But I don't think anybody's done anything to disprove it yet. But maybe they have. You know.
Yeah, but Brian, you can't be at one or the other if it's the same coordinate of 0. If it's 0.000,
Yeah, you can,
you
dude,
can't.
because they both have that same coordinate. There's a full 360-degree circle around both. So
Yeah,
you're
but
at
that
one or
defeats
the
the whole
other.
point of coordinate.
You think you're just gonna jump from one to the other? What's there to
No,
prove this?
that's
I
what I'm
don't get
saying
it.
breaks it, obviously. That's not going to happen unless you have wraparound where
Yeah,
it's like a seamless
it
transition.
can't
But
happen
the point
in
is,
no
you
model,
can't.
bro.
One second. The point is that the coordinate 0.00, it refers to a specific area. 1 degree refers to a specific area. You can't have two places that have the same coordinate. That breaks your map.
Right. Ain't it
So there can't
funny
be two
though?
places that
That
have
one
0.
spot with no fucking way at all or no landmark whatsoever to fucking prove that claim. Not anything at all to reference to prove that claim. You're way away from Hawaii, bro. You're way away from Japan. You're way away from Australia. You just happen to be way away from everything, dude. So there ain't it
Sure, but
kind
if
of
you
funny
have a
that there's
coordinate system
nothing
saying that you're
there
at 0
to
degrees,
prove that?
if your coordinate system on your boat is saying that you're at 0 degrees, right? Then you can only
Yeah.
be in one area. You can't be 0 degrees either in the very north or
What do
very
you
south.
mean?
That's just not how it works.
What do you mean I can only be in one area? If I've got two circles, then there's two 0 degrees. There's
No,
one
there
at the
can't
top and
be.
one at the bottom. You can't be
No,
at
that's what
both.
I'm saying. You
That's
can't
No,
have
no,
the
no, no,
same
no, no, no,
coordinate.
bro, bro. No, they're not two. No. Here's the thing. There's no zero. Those lines, please, they are imaginary lines. We humans put those lines in order to make things easier for ourselves. It doesn't mean that they really exist. Okay, so we don't have to. Yeah. Those two circles or those two complex curves, they are very, very close to each other at the equator. Yes, they are. They're very close to each other. And one of them is for spring equinox, and the other one is for winter equinox or fall equinox. Sorry. So, and
I
these are
gotta go there.
two
You have a good day.
greatest circles. Yeah, these are the two greatest circles that the sun would have take in this two-pole flat Earth model. And there's no
Here's my
such a
point,
thing
though.
as yeah. So no, but he's
Yeah, I was gonna
looking
say this.
for.
I was gonna say this to percentage. I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
say that
yeah.
if
I
you're
know,
at 1 degree south and
exactly.
you just go to so on Google Earth, you're in no man's land, and then you cross the equator, and you think you just jumped on the other side, but still, whether you're at the north or south, you are still in the middle of the Pacific, and there's nothing unless you go east or west, bro. So I don't, I really am failing to see the problem, but I'm promise I'm trying to consider what you're saying. I understand about the two places at one time, but my honest answer is no, you're not at both places at one time. You got to be at one or the other, and either one, you're in the middle of the fucking Pacific, where you got to go east or west, where it's going to be quicker in the north to get to Japan or LA, and in the south it's going to be quicker to get to South America or Australia, bro. I mean, what the fuck? You're in the middle of the Pacific, whether you're north or south. You got to go east or west to get to anything, bro. And that's just, that's where the action's at, though. I'll give you that. That wasn't a mic drop, dude. Somebody, come on. That's why I asked for a specific route, because if you want to start talking about Australia to LA, then we can start talking about specific routes, and we can map it out east or west and see about the distances and shit like that, or let's say Sydney to Honolulu and everything, or either Africa to South America. That's why I'm saying don't just show me a point, dude. I do understand what you're saying, dude. Yeah, you can't be at two places at once. So the obvious answer is you're at one or the other. And the obvious answer would be if you're in the north, if you're at that one up top, your closest rescue is going to be North America, Hawaii, Japan. If you're in the south, your closest rescue is going to be, you know, Australia or South America or Antarctica, whatever. But even in the north, there's still a wall that, in my model, there's still a ice wall around the whole thing, uh, which which if you went south from up north, you would possibly think you're in Antarctica. To me, this is the best way they could fake a globe, like, or mistake it even. And I think by the time they went to do the GPS, I think that there would be some knowledge of it though, and my idea of it, man. But I just was throwing that out there. I don't disagree with what you're saying, percentage, but I think you're putting your flag down on that, and I think you're not
He
considering
left,
what happens in
Ryan.
reality.
Left.
In my opinion.
He left. Yeah.
Oh
But
shit.
yeah, he left because he understood. He understood what really we tried to tell him about the circles. Yeah,
I don't think
he
that's
was
why he left.
trying to.
But you
No,
go ahead and speak.
because no, he was trying to find a perfect circle for our equator in order to debunk the two pole, and then we told him that there is no such a thing as a perfect circle on the equator. And then I think that I don't know he understood it or not, but I think he realized that what we were trying to tell him about the equator, that
Yeah.
the zero
Here's the
point
most
zero
common
zero zero.
mistake, dude. The most common
Yeah, and this
mistake
is
with the
exactly the
sun
most common
too is
mistake.
what they do is they try to picture the north and the south all at once, and they do this with the sun mainly, like Elder Bear was doing earlier. They're thinking about the 24-hour
Exactly.
sun in the south, and then they're thinking about what's going on in the north. Well, what's going on in the north is you're seeing opposite fucking circle. And it's going to be dark where you're at if the sun's up there, or it's going to be 24-hour light if you're. But you got to consider the sun is in either one path or the other. It can never be both. It's that simple. So it dictates what they're claiming is impossible. It's weird how people don't get this. It necessitates what they're in their mind is thinking is impossible. But I do remember having to get past this obstacle in my own mind. But there's 5 versions of it, dude. and
Yeah, I
it
know
gets tedious
exactly.
arguing each version of it, dude. You know.
Hey, real quick,
Yeah.
Brian. Hey, Kasra, I was listening on YouTube. Yeah, I didn't leave because I understood it or whatever. But I think that you're saying complex circles or 4D or something like that. I don't think there's any 4D necessary or any wraparound necessary. I think it's a dual pole. Perfect circles are mapped out with the stars. E's got a whole thing of the stars, GPs, and two perfect circles that go in the south and the north. And give them a chance to talk. You guys are excited, I know, but I got to get up early, so I can't stay on. I'm just going to be
Mhm,
listening. But let E1
mhm.
explain a little bit. I don't think that
I don't think
4D
he's
or any kind
arguing
of
about you
magic is necessary.
perspective. I
Oh,
think he was
maybe it was
talking about
me.
percentage. He was talking about percentage.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was talking about me. Okay, yeah, Casper, we'll talk about the four. I don't know if you mean 4D, four dimensional
No, 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 no,
complex
no.
circles or
Yeah. No,
okay.
the complex curves are something that it actually it's been. I mean, it's not. It comes from the projection. If you probably have seen that, Dave, that if you go to we have a formula, right? We have like the same way that we have a formula for the coordinate system for longitude and latitude for azimuthal equidistance. Sorry, for the equatorial projection, we do have a two formula, one for the latitudes and one for longitudes, and they really look complex equations. And they have sine and sine is hyperbolic, and it's because this projection produces complex curves instead of perfect circles. And this is
Yeah,
the
I think that
property
could
of
be like solved by the toroidal motions of everything, maybe with the complex geometry you're talking about. It doesn't
Agree with the
necessarily need.
non-perfect
I
circles.
think
I gotta agree with that. I think at the
when you
very
say
center they may be
4D,
perfect,
you
but
say,
I don't
hold
think
on,
they're
right, Brian. I'm
perfect
going
at
to
the
leave in a
edges.
sec, Brian. Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah,
leave in a
no,
sec, Brian. I'm just going to say, yeah, 4D or any of that. When you start talking about other dimensions with, I know you don't mean time,
yeah, not
but yeah, the toroidal fields kind of enveloping in on each other could solve some of those geometric problems.
yeah,
But I think that if we're talking about
exactly.
the stars move in 360 degrees, perfect circles.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
how
Not,
the
no,
stars
no, no,
move.
no, no, not
exactly.
necessarily if you're talking about a toroidal field or an electric field. They're perfect circles in the very center, but as they start getting
Just
toward the edges, they start elongating, dude.
Yeah,
yeah,
let me just
Electric
they
tell you about
haven't.
perfect.
electromagnetic field.
Hold on. I've asked E1 about this because they don't look like perfect circles, but they work like perfect circles, which is an interesting thing to ask
They
E1
could
about and have
be,
him explain.
but I don't think they
Well,
have to.
no, he's actually figured it out. He has a whole thing that he made, like they printed out and everything. I'll send you his site again, but you can check it
I
out.
love his work, bro.
No, no,
Yeah, I love
he's
his work.
right. He's on the right path. New perspective. They are perfect circles at a certain latitude. So from, I believe it's 33 degrees or 40 degrees from 90. So back out. If you're looking at the Polaris, let's just say 30. I don't know exactly what it is, but
I would
30
agree with
degrees
that. I would agree with
30
that.
degrees out to 60 degrees latitude, they are perfect circles. It's
No, they're
when you
not.
get
Let me
on.
just explain
Yeah,
that
but
what. No,
all the
Yes.
stars move 360 degrees around as if it's a perfect circle,
yeah,
even if it's not.
but Dave,
Only
that's
in the
only
center.
Right.
no,
Okay. Yeah.
guys,
I'll
please,
hear you
please.
guys. I'll hear you guys explain. I'll listen to you guys explain it. I was just trying to make sure that it wasn't me you were
Let
talking
me just
about. I was leaving.
this is so important. Please listen. See, so you guys would have think that they are perfect circles. Yeah, they really apparently when you look at a star trail at night, when you take a snapshot for 24 hours, you can see that star trails around the North Pole or South Pole. They kind of look a perfect circle, right? And you guys would have think that they're perfect
No,
circles because
no, that's not what I'm
yeah,
saying. I don't believe that. I know that they're not perfect circles, but when they're at the
okay.
very center of that celestial
Mm-hmm,
spin, that disk, for the 30
mm-hmm.
degrees, they are, because that's how I do my mathematical equation to do my triangulation.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe probably in a very short period of time. And the reason I'm saying that is because we need to understand at all as a flat earther, as a geocentrism, that the stars would have shifted, like the stars that we have in the south, like for example, Scorpio, the constellation Scorpio is right now is in the southern sky. So it means that it will take uh 25,000 years for this constellation to shift to the northern sky. Now, this means that every single star that every night goes around either Polaris or the southern sky, it appears that it's creating a perfect circle, but there is a very, very slight deviation. And that slight deviation within the 25,000 years would have completely show you there's a big shift in the sky. So that was the thing that I was trying to say, that none of them, there is not a single star in the sky that expose a very 100% perfect circle, because
Right.
they
No,
all
I agree.
shift.
But I don't think that
Do
they
you agree
shift
with
from
that?
the southern. Well, I do believe that they all shift, and they're not perfect circles, because that's how I'm able to do
Okay,
my right. But I do not
exactly.
believe that in 25,000 years or 26,000 or 2,600 years, whatever it was, that the southern constellations will move to the northern
Oh my
quadrants. I
God,
don't.
what about then? So do you? Oh, bro, okay. What is your sun sign? Is it Aries or is it like
Right,
Capricorn?
but see,
You need to understand.
no, hold on,
So
hold
every
on. I
6,000
know what you're
years.
saying. I think of precession as the movement of how they move across for their time delineation. So just like you look at the vernal equinox, as it comes across, the sun is in this certain constellation. That constellation is never going
Yeah.
to move up or down in its trajectory or
I
latitude.
agree.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
agree.
Yes,
That's all
because
I'm.
of
And
the
it says
globe.
Aries, but it can't be
Globe.
Aries, right?
Yes,
Well,
but
the
he's a
sun is
glober.
in its.
I mean Cancer and Capricorn. It says Cancer, Capricorn. It can't be that, right? We all agree to that.
No, no, I'm not saying that the procession doesn't happen. Of course, there's procession in
No, I
the.
know what you're saying. I know. My question
Okay,
is malformed. I know exactly
okay.
what you're saying. I 100% agree. They're not moving up and down. I don't think.
Upright. They're moving horizontally along the procession of where the
Right along
sun's
the big
shining.
ass circle,
Yeah,
right?
right. I mean,
Yeah,
I know
that's
what he's
yeah,
saying
that's
though. I shouldn't even said that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
yeah. I do know
get
what
it.
he's saying too, but I bet a lot of
I
people
didn't mean to.
don't. But we should let him talk because I love what y'all say, dude. I
And
think y'all got all the
I am
So,
points up
agreeing with
front.
him
Like
on
as
the
soon as the
circles.
stars lined up, this is a great moment, dude. I'm gonna back off for you, man.
I want to
I'm
say, as far as the whole circle thing, I agree with him on the circle thing. The way that I look at it is the airport conveyor belt. Like if you went to go get your luggage, or you can see that they go around in a circle, but they don't move in a circle. They actually fold in on themselves the same way that I think that the stars at those edges are moving. So they're moving in a circle,
yeah.
but they're the elongated
I think we
ellipse.
got to keep it. Yeah, I think we got to keep open mind with that, with the edges and stuff. But I'll agree with what you're saying. The middle, they sure look like circles. But we got to consider what perspective could be doing on this grand of a scale, because that does
Right.
open plenty of
But I
doors.
do.
And yeah, I like coming in with open mind. So I love listening to y'all. I'll say that again.
And I do agree with him on the whole circles thing. I can't go along with that. The precessions are going to change from the southern latitudes to the northern ones.
Me
That's
neither,
the only.
because I've went back as far as the almanacs go, and they just don't. They don't do
Well,
that,
no,
and I
he's
agree with you
right.
100%.
Well,
From
no
what I
almanacs
found,
good.
I've seen a couple of offshoots where they tried to show it, where they try to bring it up. But if you look at the consistency and all the different almanacs, they do
Mhm.
not move latitude ever.
I'm curious though. I'm curious who was saying that. How does it? How does the feel? I'm not sure how you look at it. Is it magnetic fields, or is it just a rotation of what is making the stars
I think
to
it's
where they
like
can?
feeding each. I think it's feeding each other. One feeds the other, man. Like I think
No,
if
no.
you're
I'm
talking
talking the
about
guy that was talking about the centrifugal circles
okay,
that
go ahead,
said
go
that they
ahead. Yeah, he's
cross
saying one
over.
thing. I'm talking about
so
being open minded. I'm saying for sure it's this. I don't
Right.
see y'all
No,
see the
I
comedy in that.
for sure. You have
but
to be able to say it.
we believe in celestial poles. We believe that there are two celestial poles in the sky, and uh they're dominating everything. Everything, they are governing everything. Everything goes around them. One in north, one south, and the reason that and they're exactly aligned with the magnetic field. So if you just vertically come from celestial north pole all the way down to the ground, you're going to hit your ground magnetic field, and same for the south. So
Right. No,
we
no. I'm
believe
saying
that.
those constellations. You
Yeah.
said that the southern constellations, like Scorpio, will be moving up to where, let's say, Cancer is. I mean, I know you didn't say that, but from the
Yeah.
southern latitude to the north, how does that happen? I'm I'm trying to visualize
Oh,
how you're seeing this happening.
I understand that. Yeah. Cool. So we are all on the same page. So we all know that, for example, Scorpio would have started to moving upwards to the northern sky, and then goes back. So how does this happen? This is called fluctuation in physics, right? So in the two-pole flat Earth model, the sun, we believe that the sun is fluctuating. We think that the sun would have exactly behaved like a pendulum. See, when we have two poles, it would be exactly when your pendulum will swing left and right. Whenever in the midpoint where the pendulum stops, that would be your balance or your equilibrium, which will be the zero state or your 0 point. So it's the same phenomenon. We're saying that the sun and everything, it's made of frequency and vibration. Now, the fluctuation of the sun, it would have taken about 365 days, right? We're so familiar with hertz. We know that 1 hertz means that 1 cycle per second, right? And 2 hertz means 2 cycle per second. But these are very small values, and the reason that we chose second for hertz, because if you look at our daily life, it would have made sense to choose second, not hour. But for things, very big things like celestial objects like sun, if I come up with a new unit for frequency, instead of having a hertz, let's say we have, I don't know, Kasra, right? A new frequency, new unit for frequencies of hertz. And if I say that every 365 days, multiply times 24 times 300 times 60 times 60, because I want to turn it to second. And if I say that every 365 days, that would be 1 cycle, or that would be my new unit. Now, if I say that the sun would have fluctuate, or it would have resonate with frequency about 0.00006. If I turn it into hertz, it would be a very small number. But if I will make another unit in frequency, let's say I have a Kasra U unit, I would say, okay, the sun is fluctuating with 2 Kasra or 3 Kasra, something like that. So your answer that what is making these things to move up there, the stars, sun, everything, it's, as I said, told you, it's all fluctuation, vibration,
Okay.
and look at them, they all have a period. They all have periods.
I got what
Yeah.
you're saying now. So what I was getting at was that I do not believe the stars are riding on the same magnetic field. They're riding above it as the sun, the moon, and the planets, because I can see the sun do an analemic cycle, that what you're talking about, moving from the south,
Yeah,
to the north
they're doing
in
something different. I agree.
365 days.
Yeah,
Mercury
they're
and
not in
Venus.
different, they're in a different layer.
Mer-
They're in a different layer. They're in a different layer. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I was saying. So when I've done my research, I'm not saying that everybody believes this as far as the way it goes, but the stars don't do that. They don't have an analemic cycle. They don't move
No, they
across.
absolutely don't, and they don't change
So let me
latitude.
just,
Agree.
I'll
But
tell you.
hold
I'll
on,
tell you that.
but hold on. But all of the bodies that move in the sky, the sun, the planets, and all that, except for Mercury. Mercury does not have an analemic cycle. It follows the sun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You know
how do
why?
you? No, I.
I'll tell you.
Okay, I'll let you tell me why. But go ahead.
Okay.
I'm saying, why does
So
it
I'll tell you.
not have one and the other ones do?
Yeah. So let me tell you about the stars. So you're saying that the stars, they don't possess an analemma the way that sun and moon they does, right?
Correct.
This is your argument. Well, you're wrong.
No,
The reason that okay,
not my argument.
hold on.
It's not my
Hold
argument.
on. No, okay. If any, I don't understand. I don't care. Is anybody arguing? It's completely wrong. I'm not gonna prove it to you that why it's wrong. So we
Okay.
spoke about 365 days that it will take for the sun to create its analemma. Now, if I choose one star, let's choose the Aquarius constellation. Let's choose the Aquarius A or Aquarius Alpha. I think it's the brightest one in that constellations, right? So Aquarius Alpha, it's one of those 12 stars that is mating the constellation Aquarius. Now, what
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, there's some argument here, and I want you to study about it. I'm telling you right now, Aquarius, right now, let's say Aquarius is in the northern sky. Aquarius Alpha, we have a GP for Aquarius Alpha. Now, I know that next year, Aquarius Alpha, the GP would have changed because of
Which
the great cycle. Yeah, the great
north or
cycle
south?
happened. Yeah. So the declination or the right
No,
ascension or the declination of, what do you mean no?
it doesn't change
What do you
its
It
mean
depends on
GP
no?
where it's
north.
at, bro. If it's over the equator, it's going to be a straight line,
No,
no
no,
matter
I'm
where you're
saying
No,
at.
when
no, 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 no. No, no,
no,
no.
I'm saying it will
Listen,
change. It'll
listen.
change east and west. The longitudes. It will not change latitudes.
It will not
ever.
change latitudes, dude. It
Ever.
will not, most certainly not change latitudes. And if it does,
No
it happens
stars will.
early and it hadn't been recorded yet.
Yeah, that's I'm not saying it doesn't move east and west as far as the difference between one year to the other, as far as that you're going to see it at, your zenith is going to be exactly at noon or exactly at midnight this year, and the next year it might be at midnight point 3 minutes, midnight and 3 minutes. But the actual zenith, the elevation, the latitude of that GP of that star has not changed
Yeah.
in
Not in
thousands and
recorded
thousands
history
and
anyway.
thousands
I
of
agree.
years.
Okay.
And I think we're all in
What's
agreement
gonna
there with
happen?
that.
No, he's not. Hold on. Now, so you're saying that it doesn't change. You're saying that okay, it goes in west and east, doesn't go for the north and south. Now, let me just ask you. You're wrong. It
Correct.
would have gone to the north, but it's very, very small. Hold on, it's very, very tiny. You're not gonna notice it.
Well, if
It
it
will
does
need.
change, the latitude changes. How about that?
Yeah, it
Because that's
changes.
how
Now,
we
here's the
define the
thing. It's
latitudes.
not.
Hold on, that's how we define the latitude. So if it does change, then we just call latitude something different. So it can't be
Yes,
changing
exactly.
because then we just name
Yeah, it
latitude.
changes.
If this certain star is over 10 degrees and that's how we marked it, then if the star moved, it's fucking 10 degrees would have to move. But anyway, in recorded history, the stars haven't changed latitudes. But if it does happen, I'm not going to say it can't. But if it does, it's
It
probably
happens.
pretty sudden.
Okay, so it's
Exactly. So
small.
it
You're
takes
saying it's small. Go ahead.
25,000 years. So it takes 25,000 years for that Aquaria Alpha to go back and forth. Now, when I'm talking about back and forth, I'm not specifically talking about a shape like an annulema. Because as you said, Mercury doesn't create an annulema. If you look at the moon annulema, it kind of looks different than the sun annulema. The annulema, the Venus will create has a five petals. Annulema that the Jupiter creates, I think it has 7 petals. Look, so each one of these celestial bodies, they will have their own annulema based on the period of their fluctuation around these two poles. Now, for the stars, now why the stars are not noticeable? Because as I said again, it will take 25,000 years, my brother, to see this fluctuation. And
That's
you
a good
cannot
point.
deny this. Yeah, it's impossible if you want to deny this. This is our reality. So if
That's,
you want to know
that's
Yeah,
that
we
what
can.
is
fine.
We stretch
That's
it out.
fine.
I could
I
imagine
don't
that
agree.
happening if we stretched it out over time. I can easily imagine that happening.
I can't, because then you
oh,
would have to, if we're talking about electromagnetics, and or get away from like, if we're talking about
talking about
a two-pole system
electromagnetism
that's
right now?
running off, I didn't
Who's
hear
been
you.
talking about who's been talking about electromagnetism right now?
I was.
No, but I wasn't talking about electromagnetism. I was talking about the position of the stars. And I'm not talking about what is moving them, what is the cause of them. I'm just talking about their period and their
I
fluctuation.
know.
And I'm
I
telling you
am.
that. Okay, go on.
No, you said who is talking about? I am. That's how I derived all of this. As far as how I got my celestial triangulation tool, how I came up with the delineation of 32 degrees from what prime meridian of where we are, because it all predicates off the base standard, the metric standard of electromagnetics.
What
That's
happens
how
to
I.
Aquaria Alpha after 12,000 years? Let's say you have mapped
Full
the Aquaria
circle.
Alpha in the sky. Hold on.
Full circle.
What happened to what will happen to that star after 12,500 years?
Half a circle. Almost half a circle.
It
Yeah,
depends. It
it will
depends on
shift
what
to
you mean.
exactly other part.
Not
Bro,
quite.
this is the
Not not
point.
not up and down though. Only on my map
No,
they
no,
don't
there's no.
shift.
Oh, wait. There's no stars
I
directly
don't
under the
care about
equator,
your
guys.
map. I don't care about
Wait.
your
I gotta
oh,
stop you. I gotta stop you, bro. There's no stars directly under the equator, dude. I've been challenging them. They gave me some that are just a few arc minutes. They're
I
either north or
know
south.
there's no stuff.
Ain't that strange that there's no,
Exactly.
so they can't shift from north to south, bro? If there's none of them under the equator, but I mean, it could shift, but it would have to be sudden, maybe catastrophic. Who knows? But let's keep it civil, y'all.
Oh, we're silver. I'm not getting
I
mad.
didn't mean you. I didn't mean you. I'm just saying we're
I
getting
don't think he's
excited and
getting
shit.
mad.
No, I
I
don't
don't
think
hear
he's
him
getting
getting
mad
mad
either,
yet.
man. But I think we're saying the same shit and with different ways of communicating it. And so
Well,
No,
I
but
would have to
it's
disagree.
not.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're not understanding that because this is the point that I'm trying to want you to understand that every single star would have moved. It will change its position within a cycle of 25,000 years. Now,
I agree.
I'm not arguing what I'm not
like the end of
arguing that
26.
how does it move? 26,000. Please leave it, okay? Be rational, okay? So all I'm trying to
My
say is
bad.
that Yeah, okay, so yeah, that's no worries. So every single star would have fluctuate. It will go somewhere else. It will come back to its position every 26,000 years. Now, I'm not arguing that right now. What would be the shape of this fluctuation? Yeah, for Sun is Anelima, kind of looks like an H shape. For Moon looks like an H shape. For Venus looks like a flower. For other planets looks like a flower. For stars, it also looks something else. And I'm telling you, let me tell you, I haven't done it by myself, but this is how rationally and logically should have worked. Every single star would have moved to the other part of the world after 12,000 years,
Yeah,
and then will
yeah.
move back
Let
to
me
the
back
same
you up on
position.
this. Let me back you
That's
up on
all it
this. E, I
is.
think he's got to be right. E, because if you think about it over time, if you think it wouldn't create some type of analema, if you extend the time out, like it would have to make some kind of shape because it would be completely behind you, in 13,000 and change years. So it would have unless you were standing right on the equator, and even then, if unless you found a star directly above your head, would you get a straight line or but either way, it's going to do a circle around you, some type of circle on a plane. It would have to be
No, 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 no. I understand that it's going to make a circle, but I don't believe. I think all of the stars in the southern quadrants will stay in the
yeah.
southern quadrants. They will just move
Me too, dude.
in. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying in 26,000 years, you're going to have it to where the stars in the southern quadrant, especially the I'm sorry, the equinox, the precession of the equinox, those constellations are going to move from their southern quadrants
Yeah, but yeah,
to the northern
he got.
quadrant is what he's saying.
I don't think he's
I
following
don't
Yeah,
what you're
of
believe
getting
course.
that.
at, man.
I believe it
No,
goes
no. What do you mean
sideways.
you
I
don't believe
believe
in
it
that?
go to east to what? I'm sorry.
Okay, so you're believing
See, the
sideways. Okay,
Globers try to act
okay.
like
So
Polaris changes, dude. And if you look at the precession, it's just a
yeah,
big, slow circle of it progressing in time, forward in time, not position. And that's
exactly,
Right.
what Glover's
exactly.
kind of misled everybody on. It's the precession equinox. The precession is just a precession forward in time by a
There you go.
smidgen
Yeah.
until 26,000 years. It does one full circle. I don't think it would change from north to south. But I'm open-minded, so I will
But no,
consider
that's what I am too.
No,
That's
you
why I was
say
asking how he got it, how he was thinking of it, and he explained it to me. I understand how he got there. I get it now. I don't agree. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I do understand how you're
okay.
getting to that, though, as far as the procession and how it works. I don't agree. But I do understand.
I'm gonna say
And
this.
that's
I'm
good.
not maybe not an expert. I promise y'all. I got you would not believe how many hours buried into a fucking almanacs. I mean, every one I could find, as back far as I could find, and looking, and I've seen a couple little like anomaly deviations where, like I said, the Glivers like to point them out to try and act like Polaris is moving. It's all crap. If you look back,
If
they've
you want
never
to
changed latitudes ever, ever, ever. It's at least in what they've recorded. And I'm not saying that they have to be right because I can only see what I can see. But judging by the almanacs and stuff, man, they maintain their latitudes to the T back a couple hundred years, you know.
exactly. Let me just give him the last thing that it might help him. So the zodiac signs, those 12 constellations are almost on the celestial equator, right?
No.
And if you look at it right now,
No, they're
they're in the
not.
middle of our reality.
Yeah,
No?
but
What are you
they're up
talking about?
to 23 point, or it's actually about 22 point whatever degrees is the top where
Yeah,
Cancer is,
22. Yeah,
and then
It's
exactly.
20
eclipses.
22 point
Yeah,
degrees south is where the other one is.
23-4, ain't it?
yeah,
Well,
Eclipses
exactly.
going on.
Exactly.
that's where the sun
Yeah.
goes to,
So
but that's not where this constellation goes to because they go to the middle of the constellation. So yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah, go ahead. It's right
now
around
let me
there.
just explain. Okay, so here's the thing. Right now at night, if you look at the sky, you can see the Orion belt.
Mm-hmm.
But and because we're at winter, but in summer night, you wouldn't be able to see the Orion in the northern hemisphere. You would be able to see the Orion in the southern hemisphere because that would be night for the people in Australia, and we know that,
Yeah,
right?
you can
You
see
agree
that
with
dusk.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see
Cool.
that dusk.
Cool.
There's
Exactly.
not a month of the year I dug through this and went through the stellarium, and there's not one month where you can't at least see it somewhere from everywhere on Earth. At least at the very least by dusk and dawn, just for
Yeah.
a few minutes at the very worst.
Exactly.
But yeah, for the most part,
So
yeah, I agree.
exactly.
Like
So at
you have
night,
to be
right?
in a good viewing
Exactly. So at
position. For the
night,
most part, I'm
if you
agree.
if you look at the sky right now at night tonight, if you tonight go and see the sky, you can see the Orion belt in your sky. Now, if you wait for another 6 months and if summer comes, If you go at night, if you go outside at night, you won't be able to see the southern world, southern hemisphere, whatever. Is that okay for everyone here?
To a
If you're
point.
on a
I mean,
globe, I
there's,
think that's
Okay,
not okay if
cool.
you're trying to defend the globe.
No, no,
well,
no, no, leave the globe, leave the globe. No, I'm talking about globe. I'm talking about a reality. Okay, this what that was a reality. Okay, now here's my argument. If you wait for 12,000 years during the winter, you won't be able to see the Orion belt, and you have to wait for summer. It will be exactly vice versa. People in the southern world will be able to see the Orion belt during the winter time, winter night, and people in the northern hemisphere will be able to see the zodiac or the Orion belt during their summertime.
I would agree
So
with you that
right now,
that's fluctuation. Yes,
I agree.
okay, okay, that's it, bro. This is what I've been talking about. So
but they
these
don't
stars
change
move, they
latitude.
fluctuate.
But they
Why
change
you
longitude. Longitude, not latitude.
both together? Because in your globe model, I join you because you're trying to understand based on the globe model, because your globe model it rotates in one direction. But you have a wobble movement as well. So your wobble motion would have caused to have not only latitude deviation, also longitude deviation. But if you keep
I'm
insist
not a
that it
glober.
doesn't move north and south, because you're only saying that it goes in west and east, but you need to understand, yes, west and east is still is a fluctuation, and if you just zoom enough, you can see that there's a very slight change in the longitude as well.
I,
I would
I don't.
disagree and agree at the same
Yeah,
time, dude.
I
But
and
don't.
the
I don't
I
more
could
you
agree.
go,
picture an
the more
Analema,
you
dude,
go,
over like a great 26, like a great year, 26,000 and whatever hundred
yeah,
change. I could picture an Analema because think of this: if the sun was
exactly. The
just in
anatomy of
between,
the
wait, if the
stars
sun,
is
if the
well,
sun was
well,
just in
go on,
between Capricorn and Cancer, and it just went back and forth there for a year, you'd still get a fucking Analema. It just wouldn't be that wide, it wouldn't be as wide the way it does. But I could picture an analema over a great period of time. So I'll agree with you on that. As far as the stars changing latitude, it's never been recorded. I'll put my foot down there, but
exactly.
I'm open to being wrong.
So
Oh, I'm open to
moon
being wrong.
has a
That's for
28
sure.
moon has a 28 days period for it to create its analema. Sun has 365 days. Let's okay. Mercury needs 3 years. The other one, Venus needs 5 years to create its full fluctuation, and it's not be an analema anymore. Let's not use the analema. Analema is for moon and sun. It creates a harmonic shape. And then when you go for stars, which is in the last layer of our reality, their cycle is going to be all these planets is going to be thousands of years, 26,000 years. But the reason that why we don't feel it, why we cannot see these changes is because our lifespan is very short to compare to the motion of the stars. But compared to sun and moon and the other objects, it's not that much short, so we can have a feeling over them. Okay, I gotta go, guys. So it was good. We're gonna talk about this 2.5.
Check your
And
DMs, man.
please
Check your
work on it.
DMs, bro.
I
And you too,
take my
E1.
DM.
Check your DMs, bro. I don't
Okay.
hardly ever message,
Okay,
bro,
bro.
but check them every now and then. Check your DMs.
Good conversation, man. Have a
Okay,
good
bye.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cheers.
absolutely good, great conversation, bro. This is like mind candy for me.
I'm not leaving just yet unless everybody's done talking. But
Yeah, I'll hang
yeah,
out for a few.
I really, the whole only point that I really got from any of this, as far, I shouldn't say point, the only thing that I got solidified and validity of how this is more reality than anything, the dual pole map model, with not so much my map. I mean, it is part of it, but the whole latitude and longitude grid on top of it with the star maps and being able to triangulate was because I could do that. I can go outside no matter where
Yeah.
I am, and I can triangulate my position with GP, with latitude and longitude that
Right.
they're using the satellites, and I can get it down to 100 feet. Well, 500 feet is what I'm going to say, but 100 feet is what I'm really getting down to. And that's seconds. That's, a certain degree,
That's
4 minutes
reality,
and
right?
22 seconds. And if that's true, if I mean, I don't want anybody to believe, oh, he can do that. But if that's true, how could I not at least incorporate that
Yeah.
into all the different things I was looking at to not just flat Earth?
You're a good ways into this, man, and I'm more on your side. But I will say this: I think he'll come to the same conclusions we came to. But I do like hearing his ideas. I love,
Oh, for sure.
I don't, so I'm not just gonna throw it in his face. He's wrong, but I definitely hold firm on a couple things that I've researched. But I love hearing him. I love hearing y'all. I feel like we're a few of the pioneers of
Oh,
this,
for
and
sure. That's why I
all in
wanted
one
him to
place is
explain it
great,
to me.
dude.
That's why I wanted him to explain it because I mean, maybe I missed something, maybe this, but I still, I'm not saying he's wrong. I do not agree. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that at this point in time, I am in a different place. My standard operating procedures and the metrics that I'm using do not get me to that conclusion.
Right. You're going
So
more off the almanac. I think, and I could be wrong about this, but I don't think he's took too much time in the almanac. And I think once he does, he'll adjust his. But I could be way
maybe.
off, and he may be a ace with the almanac. But I don't see how you could come to any other conclusion than what we came to
I
looking at
can't
the.
either. I mean, seriously, the GPS is
Hey,
what really
But I
would
still
tell
love
you
his
that.
yeah,
ideas,
real
man.
quick. I just want to make sure, like, I understood what he was trying to say. Was he trying to account for the wobble and thinking that the stars as a whole wobble to
Yes.
account for the?
Well,
Okay,
to me,
yeah. See,
there's
that's
an
the thing.
effect. There's like a
Well,
He was
Brian,
GPS
saying
but
that,
effect
we've talked
where shit
about this
jumps.
before. This is an interesting thing. I just want to make sure you won. If it's about the wobble, yeah, it's just a reverse engineering of it. The stars don't actually move; it's the sun that
well, no,
does the.
he wasn't trying to say, he was saying there is a wobble, whatever, how a modulation, however you want to look at it, whether it be the ball. He wasn't saying a ball, but he was saying that they say it's a
Yeah,
wobble that gives us the precession.
right.
He was saying
But
that
weren't you saying that
stars.
it's the sun that creates that idea of the wobble because the sun is
Absolutely.
circulating
Well, I
through
didn't
yeah.
say that. He was saying that the
It
sun
would
and the
have to be
planets.
that though.
Yes,
To me, it would
exactly.
have to
That's
be
what he was
that.
saying. Yes,
No, I
it
was
would,
just
but it's
saying,
not.
E1, when we talked about this, you were saying, no, the stars don't actually move. It's the sun that's moving that makes that mathematical wobble necessary for the
That's
ball.
the only thing that could give us if the Earth is indeed a plane, and then
Well,
the heavens
I
moving
would
above
say,
us.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that could give us a wobble would be the sun and moving in its relative position to the stars. Where on
well,
Earth there would
and
have to be a
I look at
wobble.
it as this. I look at it as the sun is the element. So it is the factor, the actual event maker. It's the element. If you move the element, the magnetic field changes, whether you want to call it modulation or fluctuation of voltage or amperage, however you want to look at it. But when you move that element around, that's where the wobble is. And we don't have a wobble, at least in my mind, we don't have a wobble every year.
I
It's
don't
not
think we
that's
have a wobble.
I think the
I
sun moves the magnetic field every day, and it's
every
exactly
day. Yeah, I agree with
measurable.
that too.
It's
Have you
measurable
heard of the
depending on whether it's
telescope
in the north and
effect,
south.
bro?
The
Or
what?
it's the tennis racket effect, where like if you're in free fall and you get something rotating, like it literally flips, but it happens quick, and then it flips back. It goes back. It just
Oh
keeps
yeah,
flipping up and
yeah.
down.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
There's a name for it, like the something cough effect, but it's also called like the tennis racket effect. And so I think if something does go from like north to south, it would have to be pretty. In my mind, it would be like pretty sudden, depending on the scale, but it probably catastrophic maybe. But I don't think it's been recorded, dude. I ain't seen nothing like that. But in my mind, that's how it would have to
Right.
happen
Yeah.
if it were to happen.
I would agree with you that there would have to
Speaking of
be
that,
some.
what are both of your guys' opinions about? Sorry, about the pole shift idea? Is that something
Yeah,
that
that's
would even
kind
be
of what we're talking
possible?
about.
Yeah,
I
but for
don't
the
believe the
dual
poles
pole,
ever shift. I believe they
yeah,
move, but they don't shift. And I've
right.
recorded, I've marked it on my map. I've marked it on the globe. I've marked it on the polyclonic, the American polyclonic, and on the Gleason map. As far as over the last 200 years, probably even more than that. But that's the ones I can,
Yeah, definitely more than that.
verify. But they have moved in a exact oblong centrifuge, or not centrifuge, it is centrifuge, but elliptic circle around Canada, up along Greenland, past, the what North Pole, geographic North Pole would be back down to Canada. And they do that in a circle over hundreds of years, or
Yeah,
thousands of years. And in the
over
south, it's
time. Yeah.
it's a mirror image. It goes exactly the opposite way. So the way that I shouldn't say the opposite way. It's you can just put a mirror there,
Well,
and the
relative
bottom one
opposite.
does
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and it's they. I don't believe they flip. I don't believe you're going to have the North Pole in the south or the South Pole in the north. But I'm not saying that's exactly true. I just know that that's what I've seen on recorded
I hope it
history.
doesn't happen, dude. I hope it doesn't happen, dude. And I say this, like, looking through the almanac, I have seen a couple jumps, like a couple anomalies where you could point some shit out, but then you look at a stretch of years and it's just so consistent. That just shows me they're updating the freaking model. You know what I'm saying? Because they just ain't changing except this circle that he's talking about, which I agree with. And that's why I say that if it did do that, in my mind, it would have to be sudden and probably something we wouldn't want to see. But yeah, I couldn't bring any evidence to say it does that either. Of course,
Yeah, I
I'm
didn't
trying to
think either of you
to every
thought that
facet
was
of it,
something that
but that's what I
happens.
come up with.
I wouldn't think either of you think that's something that happens, but I just thought about it because it's interesting. And if it's an electromagnetic field that we're looking at, by the way, Kasra, if you're listening, I sent you E1's videos. That's who you were talking to. I don't know if you realize that. But yeah, if it's a electromagnetic field, which is what E1's saying for the stars, and they're kind of you know nested into this field and their positions, and there's a whole other thing that you talked about that with being like Mercury that actually works like a fluorescent bulb. But regardless of that, if it is an electromagnetic field, then that solves a lot of things. And any changes, yeah, would be like a circuit that would change somehow. But that doesn't make any
And
sense. That
and really, I know I have to come back to this just because you brought that up, the whole magnetic field, and that's what really started getting me to understand how, the sun and the planets and the sky was moving and everything. Get
Mhm,
away from that. Pull the flat earth away from it. And just
mhm.
get to where I just understand this part. I started understanding that when I was researching the Eastern cultures, the spiritualism of the like chakras, Jainism, any type of these religions, or you start getting into the cultures of the Eastern cultures, like for Angkor Wat, Chinese cultures, all this kind of stuff. It all came down to it all was based on electromagnetics. Your body, your face is literally structured in the exact same way. If you put a magnetic field, what you see on the dual pole map, overlay the south and north pole on your face and east up, and then you can see how your face was constructed, how electromagnetic field literally structurally formed your face. Then put it down on your chest the
Right.
exact same way. You got the same, your nipples are the north and the south, and then you have the movement of everything. How a tree is formed is the exact inverse of what's inside of your body, which is all done off of electromagnetics, the way that it's lightning, the way that it's grounded down through that magnetic field, then turn it 180 degrees, I'm sorry, 90 degrees on its side, and there's your hips as far as the
Nothing
hip
more.
structures. So now, if you get away from, now we're not talking about flat Earth. Now we're just talking about electromagnetics describing and explaining everything that we have in this world, whether it be the electronics that you use, the lights that you see, the world around you, the plants, the animals, the structure of every living thing is all
All like
based off of electromagnetic
I
fields
agree with that,
or
man.
it'll
And here's another way
that's
I
when
came to that concept, man. Is
and
I'm like
uh,
Absolutely.
I'm looking at it from this point of view. I'm like, if the Earth, if they mistook this place for a globe, okay. First, I'm gonna start with the basis that there are two rotations. So I'm gonna just start with some circles in the middle and maybe possibly prolonging on the edges. In my model it is, but maybe it doesn't have to be. But two rotations because that's what we see. Okay, and then that's my starting point. And then I'm thinking, what could this place be for them to have mistaken it for a globe and be able to map it out so good, and it's almost all roads lead you to this model. And then it's like because in the areas where you could disprove it is no man's land where there's no places, there's no nothing, and to me, it's
mhm.
the most likely logical place. I didn't come from a spiritual way so much as just a logical. If this is a plane indeed, and there is obviously two rotations, and this would be the most likely uh, way it is, and how they could have easily mistook it for a globe and made a perfectly good model with a globe. that works
Mhm.
most places, but I think there would have to be some knowledge of
Yeah, they saw the
maybe a little
electromagnetic
bit of
field
deception
looks like
involved.
the electromagnetic field looks like a ball, a flat ball. You know, I mean, that's what electromagnetic field manifests as. So if we're I mean, we could think that they just made a mistake, but that most likely they utilized it and recognized that it manifested similar to that, and those are the confines we're kind of stuck within, possibly even literally, maybe with if we can't really get outside the electromagnetic field and survive. You know, so it's like, you know, I can see them justifying it in all kinds of ways, but I don't think they just mistook it and thought people were antipodal
Well,
upside down
once you
hanging
get
out of a
past the
ball.
retarded assumptions, dude, it makes for a great model. You just got to make some
Sure,
ridiculous
but not for
assumptions.
reality. Yeah, and
And
I don't
I
think
do. I
the
want to add
people that
one
are
thing.
creating people
I want.
they didn't fool themselves, right? They didn't fool themselves. They fooled us. That's for sure. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I heard him say something about I didn't come from spirituality. I didn't either. I'm not spiritual, religious in any way, shape, or form. I just looked at the ancient cultures that were spiritual. They were talking about the same things that I was
Okay.
talking
So when you
about.
said chakra, you were talking
Electromagnet.
about the electric field. My mistake. My mistake.
That's what I mean when I say the spiritual. They call it esoteric, or they call it the spiritual
Sure.
connection. When I was looking at it as electromagnetic,
I stand
and
corrected
that
because I did kind of infer that I was coming opposite of you, but I see what you're
right.
saying
I
now.
I
You
am
were
not
referring
looking at this.
more about the electric aspect of it.
Yes, I just know that now, the same way I can take any religion in this world, it doesn't matter what it is, and every single one of them are describing the stars and the sky and the sun and the moon. Every single one of them, all their stories. Jesus, Muhammad, the fucking Jainism, Buddha, all their stuff is a depiction of what is happening above us, and
I
Yeah.
can't argue that. I
it's
certainly can't
all.
argue that. And
So
I
when
can
we
see
bring it back down to what they're talking about,
tying.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, I was gonna say I
Okay,
can't
keep going.
argue that, dude.
Oh, but so we take these how can I put this? We take these stories and we put them all together. They all mean the exact same thing. One person says, "Oh no, it's Jesus. Oh, it's Muhammad. No, no, it's Buddha. No, no, it's Jainism. No, it's you. You are the God," or this and that. When you take all the stories and bring it back together, it's all talking about one thing. It's all talking about the three phases of electricity, the Trinity, the three different separations of how the sky, the heavens, the earth, and the sky, or the three different separations of water. So when it all comes down to, it's
Solid,
just
liquid, gas,
they're,
even.
and they're talking about electromagnetics, and that's what we all consider, or I shouldn't say we all consider. Some people think God is the true overseer of the universe, or the thing that makes the governor of the universe. Some people think it's the Gaia, or the 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 note of the world. Some people think it's the electromagnetic field. Some people think and it's all talking about the same thing. I think. That's
The great mover.
whatever name you want to call it, and whatever actual aspect you want to give it, as far as a deity, a person, an electromagnetic field, an overseer that you can't see, whatever it is, it's all describing the same thing. I mean, what
Yep.
gives
Yeah, it
us
is,
life?
man. And then with every branch comes more arguments, man. That's why I dodge this topic a
Exactly.
lot, man.
Yep. And you're right though.
How you gonna argue your faith? How can people argue faith? Yet I listen to them do it on this channel all the time. It's like, it's your fucking faith. Excuse my language.
And they
Like,
disguise it
It's
so
why are you
well. Like
arguing with me,
gravity
man?
field, they call it a gravity field, when actually it's just electromagnetics they're describing, really.
Yep. Well, I can change gravity just by the medium that I put it in. So,
Yeah. Specific
that's
gravity. Yeah.
and specific gravity, and I can do it right in front of you. I can do it in the atmosphere. I can do it in water, or I can do it in any medium in between, whatever viscosity you want, and I can change the weight of
Right.
anything. And that to me shows me that's not gravity pulling on you. It's buoyancy and density within inside of the medium that you're in.
Yep.
So it's I don't know. I
That's the
that's to
basics.
me
That's the basics.
that's like arguing religion and faith, is when you talking about gravity and buoyancy and density, because it really does have to be on what you believe or how you see the reality around you.
I guess,
'Cause
yeah, but the thing is that when we're getting down to like what we can prove or what, seems obvious or what makes the most common sense, the electromagnetic field mimicking the ball and the latitude and longitude lines is really hard for anyone to just say as some kind of belief or some kind of like made up idea when you can see the direct comparison between the latitude, longitude, and the way the
no,
electromagnetic
but
field.
your base, whether you believe in, gravity or you don't believe that there's space. Do you believe that the world belief that you have? Do you have a grasp on reality, or do you have a grasp on what you've been told? Is what it comes down to.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
That's
I
what
know
I.
that's what you
That's.
meant. Yeah.
I know that they're not. I shouldn't. I shouldn't have said it like that. I said it wrong. That's for sure.
No, no, I mean, that's the thing. You're going to get a lot of pushback for, you know, anything that's going to be like sky related as a, way of describe or, the story they tell with religions are usually
Oh,
depicting the sky. And it
for
doesn't
sure.
necessarily mean the people that, there's no validity to the religion. It's just that makes a lot of sense when you look at the way the stars and Virgo and a lot of that has to be, there's no coincidence there. That's for sure.
I'm a Virgo.
But oh my goodness, we got a virgin.
It's okay, Brian. We all
It
kind of
sucks being a
knew.
Virgo growing up, dude. When you're like 12 or 13, going through puberty, you're like, what's your sign? All right, I'm a fucking virgin, okay? Fuck.
I
Just
would
get
have went
right
with
to it.
pure. I'm pure. That's what I am.
You're what? You're pure. Yeah, sure.
Instead
That's
of saying I'm a
good.
virgin, I would have just said I'm pure.
Right?
That's right. I'm a
Yeah.
pure side.
Yep. I don't
But
let people
I'm a
fuck my mind. That's for
3CO.
sure.
I will say this too, as far as the whole flat Earth thing. I don't usually argue. I don't argue about it anymore, to be honest with you, with anybody. To be honest with you, the only time I ever
Yeah.
talk about this shit is when you ask me to come in here and talk to people about this, or when you
I know.
ask
Then
me
you
about
stay
it.
on here for like 10 hours and then you don't come back
It's always
until I
fun,
drag you
man.
in
It's
here
always
again.
fun. Always a treat, bro.
I no, but I enjoy talking about it. It's just there's no to me there's no sense in it because I'm not trying to figure out whether the Earth is flat. I know the Earth is flat, but that doesn't
Yeah.
even mean anything to me anymore. It's more of
Well, yeah,
what
it's
what
beyond that.
comes
It's the
from
whole
this
book.
information. What
Right.
else is the secrets or the unknown unknowns, not the unknown knowns. Not what do we not know that we don't know, but what do we not know that we don't know that the government, the echelon, the people who hid the ball or hit the flat earth from us into a ball, what are those the things? And that's what takes my attention nowadays. It's not,
Yeah.
has nothing to do with what,
That's how I kind of been too, man.
because I can
I
tell
feel
you one
like,
thing. I will say this one more time, just for before it actually happens. Our world is about to change again, just like it did in 2020. We
it's
are going
almost
to suffer.
scary the way it's headed, though, man. It's almost like
I'm
what I would
yeah,
look forward to. It almost don't now, dude. It's weird.
that that's the sentiment I'm trying to get. Your world is going to change so much in the next. I'm going to say year to just make sure it's going to be that. But our world is going to change so much in a year. It's going to be worse than the change that happened from 2019 to 2021.
Sure ain't getting better,
They
unfortunately.
can't. It can't. Not with our. I don't want to say president because it's not just him. It's the entire system that's doing it. Um, with what our government is doing and what the governments around the world are doing, they are bringing in the fall of this hegemony. They're
I
bringing
felt
in a
like
new.
I felt like whether I was right or wrong, I feel like I'm gonna help either way because I'm gonna question shit down to its roots, starting with the damn shape of the very ground we're walking on. So even if I happen to be
Yep.
wrong, which I've always left a little percentage of that possibility and everything through it all, and I'm like I'm still helping, man, overall. But it's like, man, I'm looking back and I'm like, have I even helped? And it's like, man, I've done it so much, as much as I could for years. I feel like looking back, I just almost feel like I just wasted all that time. I did learn a lot, but gee, man, I don't know.
But
I kind of doubt whether I helped anything.
help
I
to
don't
what
know.
though? You've helped you, didn't you? You've
Yeah, I
learned.
guess.
You've
Like I
put
said, I
yourself
have
in a
learned a lot
position.
too. I've tried to
I don't.
evolve as best I could. I've tried to keep it as real as I possibly can. Uh,
I don't think that we're here to
Damn,
help
I'm
other
scared.
people, though.
It's scary thinking of where we could be headed, though.
I
Because
just
looking
don't
at
think that we're
the
on
new
here
flat
to help
earthers,
other
dude,
people.
or the new flat earthers, dude, shouldn't they learn from their elders, the people who've been in this and modified their arguments and learned and evolved? And it's like, dude, they're just going their own separate ways and doubting shit. That I mean, it's scary to me, man. I'm optimist. I'm an optimist, glass half full, but it's still, I can't help but be a little worried.
Yeah, but you have to almost, at least I do, I have to accept and almost be on the lookout for that. That especially nowadays with the way that flat Earth was brought to people, the way that everything was pretty much just muddled, all the different things that the AE map, all that kind of stuff, right? So when they bring all that to somebody, don't you think that the next people, even though they know that the Earth isn't a ball, they're still going to adamantly try and get away from the problems that the pitfalls that brought them into, being talked down upon, like somebody calling, oh, you're a flat earther, this and that, when they don't have anything to do with the metrics that made flat earthers, let's say in 2015. You know what I mean saying, or not?
Yeah, sure.
I just don't. I see how the kids these days, or people that are new to flat Earth. I can see why they are going down those pitfalls. I can see why they're completely going away from the things that are so solidly, you know, solid information that you can use to show that the Earth isn't a ball, and they aren't going to use that. They're
Sure.
going to go argue against it.
Right.
You can
And
see
then
why.
and with it, and a lot of times with toxic attitudes, and that's just something I don't want to be a part of, man. I don't want to be a part of that. And
Yes,
I'm not talking about you. You're exact opposite of that. And most
I
people in
know I'm
here
toxic.
are also the
I know.
exact opposite. But there are a lot of places that it seems like what's catching on is the damn exactly what I was hoping wouldn't, And I don't want to fear monger and shit like that because I'm against that. But I'm just telling you about like my personal thoughts and stuff, man. I don't want
Hmm.
to be part of nothing toxic, man.
Well, and at some point, it doesn't matter what you're talking about, who you are, or what time frame, as far as what time of age you're living in. When you're saying stuff that's important, or stuff that's important for the subject matter that you're talking about, you're going to be confrontational. You're going to be uh, perceived as confrontational, whether you want to or not,
Point. That's a good point, dude. People don't like their beliefs challenged.
Yeah,
at
the
all.
psychology
What?
of this is what keeps me interested in the conversation in general is the trying to figure out the psychology of everyone's different takes on this whole thing, and whether it's
Mm,
someone cogged this or just believing what they've been fed through the mainstream narrative or the straw manning of flat earth or whatever. It's hilarious a lot of times, which is partly why I keep listening and posting shit that people say. But it's the most interesting conversation because it's threatening people's whole worldview, and
whole
a lot
As
of
entire
long as
times
you're
it's
world.
making
it's hard.
videos, Dave, as long as you make videos, you'll always have at least one view, buddy. One view, no matter what you
A
do, you'll always have one view for
lot of
every
people watch
video,
them. Yeah,
You
Dave.
get a
Yeah, I
view
know.
from me
I'm
if you
not
send
doing
it
it
to
for
me.
any other reason. What's that?
I said
What'd you
you'll
say?
get a view from me if you send it to me.
Oh yeah, you don't watch anything unless I send it to you.
Yeah,
Not
and
usually.
It's funny.
dude, I used to look at my subscriptions and my notifications with such excitement, dude. And now it's just slowly over time dwindled down to like no, he done blew it. He done blew it. This person blew it. Like, because to me, there's a lot of room for opinion in this subject, and there's a lot of room for discussion. But then there's some things that we gotta evolve, man, and most of us have around here. But once again, there's so many places they're just stuck and it's like nothing. I try as
It
working
seems like that's
to
intentional,
evolve
though.
with
I
us.
think flat
Evolve with
Earth.
us. There's a lot of veterans around here, and I'm glad they're doing what they're doing around here. But God, man, it's almost such
It
an
seems like that
God,
Brian doesn't.
no.
Hey Brian, doesn't it seem like they kind of had some people influencing, yeah, to some degree or whatever, for whatever reason, people get stuck on this.
Oh yeah,
The idea
I
that
went
all
down
the
to a couple
information from
years
the
ago.
almanac, all the information in the almanac's just globe stuff. We don't need to look at the almanac to figure
No,
out
it ain't.
GPs
It
or
ain't got
anything.
nothing to do with the globe,
That's
bro.
all. I know that's what I'm saying, but that's the mindset of a lot of the people that making you
Yeah, yeah,
frustrated.
you could turn it into that. You could
You
turn
know,
it
it's
into
like
that.
if you're a flat earther, you're
Mostly.
supposed to ignore all the data. You're supposed to ignore all the real, possibly in quotes, information. You know, some of it is real, some of it's definitely not real. And then deciphering between those is like part of the whole quest here. You know, not just to say I'm gonna like be anti, NASA in every way, or anti, celestial fields or whatever it is. You're trying to figure out GPs, navigation, all that shit. That's it. That's what's interesting now, beyond the flat Earth that we know
Yeah.
we all live on.
And my point was before I got sidetracked is I used to get so excited when I seen my notifications and I'd go through them and just slowly but over time it's just dwindled down to a select few like Earth Awakenings, New Perspective, and a few others, And
It's
I
all
just
you need,
well,
man. It's
I've
all
done
you
everything I
need.
learned, and I've had to eat shit, excuse my language, a couple times, and I've had to be I've been trying to keep it humble and real as best I can, and I don't
Well,
think
it's interesting
good
conversation
to me
tonight
unless you
because
get much spreading, let's say. But
hey,
around
Brian,
here,
I'm gonna
man,
hang up.
around here, a lot of people have that same attitude. So
Hey, Brian, I'm gonna hang up, but I want to hear you and E1 talk about like I know you started out by saying that dual pole has some issues, but if you want to just bring up whatever issues you think there are for you and E1 to talk about while I listen,
We
that'd be
instead of
did.
cool.
issues, bro, I would call it this. I would say there are some definite ways with my model you could disprove it, but as far as what needs to be done, at least to date, hasn't been done. Let's just say that. Like I said, if they did a 12-hour trip from Hawaii to the South Pole Station, then I'm back to the drawing board or Pac-Man or whatever. But that's no man's land over there, and I believe they would hit a continent they could call Antarctica or a wall potentially. Doesn't have to be,
Well,
but
the distance wouldn't be any different than it is on the globe for the transform of the grid.
it would on my model from Hawaii to South Pole Station. It would be
Well, you'd
a
have
noticeable difference.
what's your
It wouldn't be
we
a
talked about
world
this
difference, but it'd
earlier.
be a noticeable difference.
Well, your model or your layout is similar to E1's. You said you miscellaneously kind of moved the prime meridian as well, but not necessarily 33 degrees,
Yeah, I mean, I've
whatever.
had it at one time or another. I'm not sure exactly where it was when I posted. I usually keep it pretty close to off center to the west a little bit, but 33 is a I like. I mean, it looks good. I love the way what he did when he erased the latitudes. That to me, that's a great idea to help people. But it didn't seem to
I
have
don't know
like
if you.
the effect I thought it would have. But I think that
Yeah,
would
I'm
have
gonna
a
hang
good
up, but
effect.
I don't know how much of the E1 videos that I sent you watched, but there's
I've
a way
watched
of
every one
knowing
of
that
them
it's.
more than once, bro.
Oh, okay.
I've watched every one of them.
The 33 degrees, like with the Polaris being like set in from 360 to 327 or whatever it is, that
Yep.
that's like a way of knowing that they moved to 33 degrees. I don't know if you guys could talk about that or whatever.
Well, no, that's not the
I
way.
like the
That's the
looks
way
of
I
it,
can
man.
show it. I know that they did it because the Admiralty told us they did it.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
The
you
you
could
at
still
a
people.
hit 33
historical
though, and I think you could
record.
still tilt down the edges just by bending the longitudes a little bit, man. I think there's an aspect that
Why would that be
we could be
necessary?
missing with perspective around the edges. I'm trying to work on kind of. I've been trying to work on the
Why would
grain
that be necessary, Brian?
I'm not saying necessary. I'm saying it's potential. Like we can move it. So in other words, North America doesn't have to be facing in that direction. Even if you're at 33, that kind of tilts North America up away from South America, so to speak. And I don't think that is necessarily the case. I think we can just by moving the longitudes, you can angle North America back down closer to South America, which I think is a little closer to reality. But I'm not dogging his model. I like it, and I think we're doing what we should be doing to try and zero in on it. And I think if we keep talking about it, maybe we can get some collective help here because we ain't been getting much help, as it
Well,
is the last
I'll
few
let you
years.
guys talk about it. I gotta hang up, but I'll let you guys talk about that. And, yeah, it's
Yeah.
the GPs are the GPs, right? The continents are supposed to be where they are. according to the GPS,
Yeah,
I imagine is
they
what
are
you
where
meant.
they are. But like I'm saying, if you move the longitude, you can move the whole continent.
All right, I'll let you guys talk about that.
I'm
Well,
not
that
saying
was
you
a
have to.
hit and run, wasn't it?
Yeah,
He just
that's funny.
spewed a bunch of stuff and left. Nice, Dave.
He brings a lot
Nice.
of energy, though. I'll give him that, man.
Yes, he does. Gets a lot of conversation going. That's for sure.
Yep.
I want to tell you a story that I had with YouTube and my views and stuff. You know, I don't post a lot of videos or nothing like that, but I've had videos on for 7 years or so, and I've had 68 people subscribe to me now, up to 75. But about a month ago, you can see how many videos I have as far as how much time they've been viewed and how long the videos are. About a month ago, I got a thing that said that you just passed 100 hours viewing time. I don't have even anywhere close to that amount of views on my thing. And then the next day, as I was, I was like, I didn't even click on anything on my managing my videos or looking at any of my YouTube stuff. Then it started showing me I passed a milestone that I had gotten a certain amount of subscribers per month. Not that I'd gotten, 20 subscribers or 100 subscribers or nothing. It just said I passed a milestone for subscribers per month. And when I clicked onto my viewing time frame, it showed that I had 4 people view my videos in the past month. So why would it show me all this except for
Something's
one?
wrong with that picture, man.
Right. The
That's
only thing it got me to
probably
think what they're doing to all the I'm not going to say I'm not an influencer, but all the content creators, all the people that are putting stuff out there. They know that I'm not putting out that many videos or that I'm not putting out a lot of videos. They would give me an incentive by saying, "Look at this. Look, you got all this kind of stuff," to get me to
dangling a
put more.
carrot.
Yep, that's what I think happened.
Dude,
And
I'm
I
telling
think
you, it took me forever to get to 1,000 subs, dude. It took me probably like 5 years, dude. But just one at a time, man. Like I do a video and get like 8 or 9 subscribers. I go on Jerry's, I go on Modern Day Debate, and just get little small pockets of subs and talking on Discord. I've talked to damn near everybody in this back then, and everybody knew me. It seemed like, man, but and then I mean, it started speeding up, and but I still only wound up getting to like think 13 or 1400, which is where I'm at now. And it hasn't dropped, even though I quit doing videos for a while. I put out a couple recently, here and there, but man, it's just so much time, and sometimes life just gets in the way, dude. It's like I gotta focus on some other shit, man. I don't want to fall too far behind, and there's no financial aspect to this at all. I don't think there's any winning financial aspect, not for a bulk of us, maybe for one or two if you got an app or some shit, I don't know. But I don't see no financial future in this. So whatever it is, I would advise people who see what we're doing and thinking about getting into it, just manage your time and keep it in keep it real, keep it what you can handle, and because it's easy to get locked in and fall behind in the world. It's real easy to
oh,
get
I
locked
can
into
imagine
hard.
people doing that. I never got sucked into that as
I
far as
did it
the wanting views or to be able to do this or that. I never got sucked. I could have, but I didn't. I didn't get sucked in.
right, but check this out. Right before I got up to 1,000 subs, which I could have monetized and this and that, and then they bump it up to like so I get to 1,000 and they bump it up to like 3,000 or something. I'm like, oh my god, dude, it's like crazy. I'm thinking I could maybe finally make a few bucks and have some incentive to do this, where nobody's having to even give me money, but I'm just getting some
Yep.
money off of whatever, however they do it, and then they raise the necessity or whatever the qualification numbers, and I was just like, oh my god, this I'm nauseous at that point.
I will say this, it would be nice to make money off of just making videos or just talking to people or whatever the case may be, whatever content you want to put out there, right? But the only problem for me was, and I had lots of people trying to give me ideas to start all different types of fucking things that I was interested in earlier a couple of years ago. But this was my thing. All the people that I had watched make all these content channels and got monetized and all that, they would get a little bit of money. And like you said, it would be so much of what they're doing. But when they would lose that ability, even that little bit of money, $200, $300, $1,000 a month, when they lose that, they were devastated, because they had already thrown away everything saying, I'm going to make this money. I'm going to make this money on YouTube, or I'm going to make it on TikTok or whatever it is. And I don't ever want to be obligated to that, to think that I need to be able to make money. I need to jump through the hoops. I need to have this. I would much rather have it, even if I had to do a 9 to 5 job. Other than doing that, I would rather have the 9 to 5 job than to have the ability to have everything, because it's going to be taken away from you. All these
Yeah,
content
see,
creators.
I was never, I was never delusional about that. That
Yeah.
became pretty apparent pretty quick. But yeah, I was like, I put in so much time, and I had a little bit of a cushion that I've kind of wore through, and I do congregate. I have a business and everything. I've had it for so many years. I do my own work and stuff, so I don't have a bunch of employees or shit. I went that route too, and I'm just like, it wasn't enough. It was more money doing a commercial and with more employees and all that. It's just more headache and not enough money to
Fucking
cover that
A.
headache. So
Yes,
now
it is.
I just kind of I got a pretty easy life set up, dude, for myself. But it's just like, but I wanted to, I was putting out so much content and everything I could learn, and I'm a hands-on type, so I would do stuff, and plan stuff and try and come up with any ideas I could, model stuff, just all in. And it's like, yeah, you just get burnt out doing that. And it's like, if you're going to go into that extent, it'd be nice if you had some support, and it just never comes. So I didn't never depend on it, but it sure was frustrating, dude. Especially when I got ideas people are talking about. I literally buy a mile of line, and come up with this idea. Let's sink it under the water, and find this. And I do a GoFundMe and get fucking two people who give me. We talk about this shit all month, dude. I put my money out, and I got the boat. I'm out there showing them I'm on the water running this line a mile and shit, and dude, just like nobody, dude. I'm like, everybody just disappears. I'm like, wait, I thought we talked about this shit for fucking for for 4 or 5 months. Now all of a sudden I'm out here doing it. I only got one guy helping me, and I'm doing this all out of pocket. And you can't even put in a fucking dollar or something. Like that was deflating. And then I took a little break then and came back. Just I've never really recovered from that aggravation. Like, dude, they want shit done. They don't want to help, dude. Like, I'm a real person,
Yep.
dude. I'm a grandfather, father, a provider, a worker, and it's like I'm out here doing this shit in the real world, and dude, you want to just disappear on me when the you know when it happens, when it's time to happen. That was a little preliminary test, and I think Brandon, he pitched in a little bit, and playing true. So kudos to them. Other than that, the only other money I got was like eggshells, pitch in a few bucks, like because he doubted, even if he didn't agree with what I did with my model, with the three the 3 points, triangulation. He did the way he worded it. He didn't demand any certain place to do it from, and so even if he didn't agree that it proved a flat Earth, he still honored his word. That I never heard, but I heard that he said he'd give $50 to anybody who could model the three locations, and so he paid up out of nowhere, and Ruip helped me with some money to go to LIGO because I got a transit, a real good one too, a new one, to go do three measurements at LIGO relative to the water next to it, even if I had to dig down to the water table. All I need is three measurements, and I can tell you what the Earth is. I can at least tell you what water's doing, assuming that a laser can make it from beginning to end, assuming that slab is what it says.
Hmm.
But I haven't been able to do that yet, and I still plan on doing that. But that's right when the TFE shit started happening, and just I don't like the way people start arguing like it's all fake, and just to me just denying what's going on. Like, I think we should all be where we're at now discussing this, and I like the kickback, and the I like the resistance, and I like to be told where I'm wrong, and so I could see, to try and move forward. And I don't try to dodge shit. But a lot of that's going on nowadays. This is one of the only places that's not going on. This is why I listen to this server. Well, I ain't gonna say the only place, but one of the few. A lot of veterans around here who have evolved, and yeah, dude, it's a treat when you come in, man. You got interesting ideas. You call it how you see it. You're humble, so you fit right in,
I
dude.
try to be. I don't think I'm humble all the time, but I try to be. I try. I think a lot of
Never
things
me,
for
unfortunately.
I think a lot of things that for me, and I think a lot of things like the veterans you're talking about, are just to the point to where it's not so much do you need to argue about it anymore. Things are what you think they are, and if you can be shown, demonstrated or shown to where you can well, I guess replicate it, then yeah, I will start to believe it or I will incorporate it into my belief system. But until then, no. I mean, there's no reason to even just sit there and argue about it and tell somebody they're wrong. You're wrong. You're a liar. That doesn't help. That doesn't help nothing. No matter if they are a liar or not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But if you got to go, I'll let you go. I'll stop talking.
Yeah, I'm gonna be listening, man. Golly, I wish, hopefully somebody picks
I know.
up where I'm leaving off, man, because I will be able to listen for a little while. But if I get a chance, I will join back in. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Hey, check your freaking DMs every now and then, dude. I DM'd you one a while back. Very seldom, it's probably something pretty decent if or just a little joke or something, every now and then I'll send a message. So from time to time, just check them, dude. You pretty much know who I am by now. Flatter test. I don't
I
even if
will.
you watch my videos or not, just every now and then check in, bro. It'd be cool to hear from you.
I will actually. I haven't seen any of the messages you sent me, but I will. I will go check them out.
I sent you one. Or I sent two in the last year, dude. So, um, yeah, just every now and then check it. I don't
Well,
expect you
I
to check it
apologize.
everything.
Like
I,
I was
I
saying,
damn
I
sure
don't.
don't, dude. I damn sure don't. But
I don't.
I'm just thinking
I'm
about
not
some
on
people out there.
Discord.
Maybe you could check in from time to time.
I'm not on Discord that much. That's why I don't check anybody's messages. It's not just you
I
personally,
get
so
it.
don't take it personal.
I know. That's why I said,
Okay.
if you
Cool.
see my name, if you see my name lit up, then there's probably a little message waiting. But I'd be tickled to hear from you. Either way, brother. It's always a pleasure, man. And
For
I'll be
sure.
listening.
For sure. Same to you, man. You have yourself a good night.